Nigeria, what have we become? Every day we wake up to another tragedy, another headline soaked in blood, another family left in anguish. A nation that stood tall with the promise of unity and greatness now crumbles under the weight of lawlessness, injustice, and despair. This week, we woke up to a news of a young entrepreneur, a symbol of ambition and innovation, dead under mysterious circumstances. The very spirit of Nigerian resilience, the drive to create, to build, to inspire, snuffed out. No answers, no accountability, just silence and whispers in the corridors of power. And so we move on, pretending that not to see it, pretending about nothing until the next tragedy strikes. In another part of the country, 2 young girls are brutally assaulted for something as simple as plucking mangoes. Children bitten, humiliated, and scarred for life in a society that claims to value its future. And what is the consequences? Where is the outrage? Where is the justice? And then there is the horror of mob violence. An ugly, monstrous beast we're fed with fear, ignorance, and a justice system that has failed us. Innocent travelers butchered because of where they come from, because of their names, because of hatred has replaced humanity. In a nation that should be bound or bound by unity, we have become executioners of our own brothers and sisters. This is Nigeria in 2025. A nation where impunity reigns, where lives are disposable, where justice is a privilege for only the powerful and suffering is the inheritance of the poor. The question is, how did we get here? How did we get to the point where violence has become the currency of our frustrations? Where does it end? When does it end? When did we become a people so quick to spill blood, so easy to serve as judge, jury, and even executioner? The state fails to deliver justice, so the people take it into their own hands. But in this madness, we have forgotten our humanity. We have abandoned the very thing that makes us a society: order, justice, and fairness. And we're going to blame our leaders. It's always the government, isn't it? But we are not any better. We cry for justice while cheering on lawlessness. We demand for good governance, but refuse to follow the simplest rules. We decry corruption, but cut corners at every opportunity. We want peace, but sow division. We sow it every single day. We want fairness, but we refuse to act with integrity. We want a working system while actively tearing it down with our selfishness, our greed, and our indifference. And yet, our leaders sit in their offices untouched, unfazed, and those who swore oaths to protect and serve, to watch over the people, as the people they govern die from insecurity, poverty, and hopelessness. They fly over bad roads in private jets. They send their children abroad while our schools rot. They watch as our hospitals become graveyards. And still, they call themselves leaders. But the truth is, that's right, the people, you and I, must take responsibility. Because how long will we keep waiting for salvation from those who have failed us over and over and over again? How long will we keep electing the same people, making the same excuses, turning a blind eye to corruption, tribalism, and violence? How long will we let this country sink? When are we going to wake up? I say it's now. It's time to wake up. This country belongs to us, not just to a handful of politicians who treat governance like a business empire. The change we seek will not come from empty promises or recycled leaders. It will come when we demand accountability, when we refuse to be silent, when we choose unity over division and justice over convenience. Nigeria, you and I, we must do better. If we do not change the course, if we do not rewrite our story, history will remember us not as the giant of Africa, but as a nation that had everything and then lost it. It's time for us to stop the excuses and let us all be the change. And this is where I bring in my co-host, the incomparable Mzino Appeal, to join me. Mzino, good morning to you.
Good morning and welcome, and boy, what a dress. That's plenty of red.
Is it orange or red?
I don't know. See, listen, when it comes to color, it's a nah. Sorry, can't help you there.
Makes
well, it looks
the two of
red
us.
to me, and I bet every man here would think it's red.
Well, it's blood orange. That's what I was told. Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Well, good morning to you and good morning to everyone. Let's get started, shall we, on Breakfast Extra. Good morning.
Well, good morning once again, and welcome to your go-to weekend breakfast show, where we bring you the biggest stories while shaping our country here today. Now, today we have a packed lineup, as usual, of insightful discussions and hard-hitting reports. We begin in Borno State, where outrage is growing over the brutal beating of 2 young girls for plucking mangoes. Now, the Borno State Children's Parliament has condemned the act and is demanding, well, stronger child protection laws. We're also going to explore what needs to change with the child protection advocates. Also on the show, the House of Representatives have proposed a 60-year age limit for presidential and gubernatorial candidates, sparking intense reactions, and I guess you know why. We'll dive into the implications of this bill with a political analyst and an APC chieftain and public affairs analyst as well. Off to South Nigeria, where students in Asaba, Delta State capital, are raising their voices against rising insecurity following attacks by suspected herdsmen. We'll speak to a reporter who covered the protest and hear from the provost of the Federal College of Education, Asaba, on what's being done to protect students. And as we slowly wind down today, Women's Special Month, by the way, we'll discuss how women can access opportunities, grow businesses, and also secure investments with the advocacy lead and also Gatefield, and a business growth engineer and venture capitalist. So welcome to the show. Oh, by the way, I should mention that today, we will be commemorating World Tuberculosis Day today. So stick around for Wellness Central. That is kind of like a roundup or rundown for what we have coming today. So do stick around. We've got plenty coming your way. Judith, I was talking about the fact that today is Eid Mubarak?
It's Eid al-Fitri.
Eid
So
al-Fitri.
Eid Mubarak to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters. I cannot wait for the Eid outfits. Oh,
This is not the one we eat, the ram. It's not the ram
No,
one.
it's a month and a half from today.
Yeah. Month and a half. Well,
But this celebration marks the end of the holy month of Ramadan, of sighting the moon and everything else. And so just a celebration to end it.
oh, fantastic. In any case,
The one with the
celebration
big
still
ram.
means we're going to eat. So
Yeah, the
you're
clothes are going to
driving
be
to
chef's kiss.
your neighbor's place, just have a spoon in the same hand.
The one for the ram is where they mark Isaac. Isaac and Abraham.
Isaac the sacrifice, that would have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the ram.
Yeah, that's the ram one. Yeah.
I get it. All right.
Yeah. So I'm excited. That's a month and a half from now, and then there's also the New Year celebration for the Muslim calendar as well. So we have 2 more holidays for the Muslim calendars, and I cannot wait.
We're looking forward to the next one, but for this one, you guys should fulfill it. You know the address, number 8. All right, so let's get started with our bits for today. And of course, it's a very interesting one, this. It's about a new bill making its way through the National Assembly. Well, it's ignited intense debates across Nigeria. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have proposed a constitutional amendment setting a 60-year age limit for presidential and gubernatorial candidates. Supporters argue that the bill would promote youth inclusion in governance, ensuring fresh ideas and leadership. However, critics say it is discriminatory, unconstitutional, and an attempt to sideline experienced politicians.
And so you can imagine the public backlash has been swift, with many questioning whether age should be the primary criteria for leadership. And so to dissect the implications of this bill, we're joined by two guests. Adebowale Johnson, he's a political analyst, to break down the broader impact of this proposal. We're also going to be joined by Mr. Akin Bash. He's an APC chieftain and a public affairs analyst to give us the perspective from within the ruling party. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, and we appreciate you for coming on this morning for us.
Thank you and good morning.
Good morning. I understand that we have only you, Mr. Johnson. So let me just get started with you, shall we? Now, this bill has sparked controversy across the country. What's your initial reaction to a proposed 60-year age cap for presidential and governorship candidates?
Thank you very much and good morning. And well, it's also the Mother's Day today. And so to you as well and all mothers around the world, happy Mother's Day. And so, yes, going to the question, it's interesting, and I find it quite interesting that a bill that, makes it impossible for the sitting president, Mr. President, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to run for office is quite interesting. To think that there's still a lot of process anyway, but it's quite interesting that we have not too young to run, but there's also a cap. And I have like two stands, to it. One stand is that, yes, if we don't put a cap to it, everybody, even at the time where they're supposed to sort of become elder statesmen and provide advisory and provide wisdom, will still be vying for the office. And we need more agile and energetic Nigerians who have the capacity for the 20 hours, because most importantly, most of the public sector office at that level most likely work 20 hours a day. And so we need people who are more agile, people who are stronger, health-wise and all of that, to lead the nation from the top, down to even local government. So it's okay that we're setting that sort of barrier, but the flip side to it then is that those who have crossed that age barrier, we then need to sort of coordinate them and put them in a pool of people who can provide wisdom and provide advisory for whoever and every other person that is in government.
Supporters have argued that it will encourage younger candidates and prevent career politicians from holding power indefinitely. Do you think so? Isn't this too soon to argue? Because there's something called age falsification.
Thank you. It doesn't encourage younger people beyond the fact that there's a bill already that's called Not Too Young to Run. For House of Assembly level for about 25 years. So it's not about young people vying for office that's the problem. I think that the older generation will not leave a vacuum, and that's why they are still very much active in, running for office. Because, we, the younger ones, have refused to stand up to what it takes. We've refused to show capacity. We've refused to develop ourselves. Sometimes, when you have conversations with some people and you ask yourself, this is not a beer parlor conversation. You would think that you should, you would tell people like, you should know better. I'm sure you've been in conversations like that you'll be like, oh, it doesn't look like we're ready. It doesn't look like we know what we're doing. So it's not about the age, but about, people really putting their heart out and having what it takes. The competence, the capacity, and the capability to do the work on a day-to-day basis. So, these are the things we need. It's not so much about the age, but the strength and what it requires, And it's a lot of work. To the best of my knowledge, and of course, being in the space, the work requires about 20 hours a day. And so if you're not agile enough and you don't have the mental capacity, the health, to make it happen, you're just going to fail.
Well, thank you, Mr. Johnson. We are joined now by Mr. Akinola Bash. He's an APC chieftain and public affairs analyst. He's going to give us his own 2 pence. Mr. Akinola, you are welcome. Thank you very much for joining us this morning.
It's my pleasure to have you.
Great. So I need you to please talk to the timeline that we find this bill being passed, the speed of it. And if you were listening to Mr. Adebowale from earlier, regarding the possibility of whether it's allowing young people to be able to run or if it's trying to disenfranchise old people, especially at a time where we see coalitions of political bigwigs coming together to try for 2027. So please, to the credibility of the bill, the timing of it, and whether it is going to disenfranchise the old career politicians that we have currently.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me start without hesitation to say that I think putting a gag as to age limit, I think is an unnecessary diversion. I do not think that we need to put a ceiling on what age of people to contest an election. And like the other gentleman said, I think it's a matter of how ready you are. What is your entry behavior? What are the qualities, the requirements and parameters that will have prepared you for this? I do not think we should go extra on constitutional pathway to get people to contest. If you look all over the world, you see that it's a mixed bag. I mean, if you are young and you have what it takes, you have built your integrity, your capability, and your level of acceptance amongst the people, not to stop you from contesting. And that you're an elderly person too should not be a barrier for you to contest. After all, experience, is the best teacher. And of course, for the younger ones too, I have always been against the fact that you must put an age limit. Definitely it's not necessary. Let everybody contest in the space. After all, at the various political levels, there are these considerations, to encourage the younger ones to come into the political space. And if that is it, then I don't see why anybody should put a barrier as to, those who are above 60 that should not contest. Politics is too dynamic. And when you look at it in our own climb here, whoever is going to rule Nigeria must be vast, must be deep, must have a lot of experience as to the geopolitical, historical, geographical, considerations and the challenges, that the political space, provides. So for me, my position is that age limit is unnecessary. Let whoever is interested come into the space. Yeah, let them compete and emerge and, play his or our own role.
Mr. Bash,
discharge his or her responsibility in whichever political position the person might have found himself.
Now, Mr. Bash, there seems to be an argument on ground regarding the sense of out of touchness, if there's a phrase like that, of the career politicians, regarding the fact that there is a clamor of youth dissent currently. And this is because the youth do not think that they're well represented. You speak to experience, and this is a good thing because in politics, you actually need to have your ducks in a row, like you have just mentioned. But experience is one thing, and to be in touch with reality, with the grassroots, with what the people really want is another thing. These are people who have, well, plenty of people argue, had their time, and it's a very different time from where we find ourselves now. So do you not think that there is much more credit than what seems to be given to the bill currently?
Yeah, I think, I don't know what you mean by, being out of touch with reality. Being in touch with reality is not a matter of age. It's a matter of your exposure. It's a matter of deliberate attempt to be current at every point in time. Do you know how many youngsters who don't even know what AI is all about? Do you know how many youngsters who cannot even operate the system? Do you know how many youngsters who do not even know what is happening around them? We have a lot of them around these days who have been diverted by irrelevancies, So the matter of whether you are in touch or you're out of touch is not a matter of age. It's a matter of your individual preparation to be current, to also know what is going on all over the world. So for me, it's a non-issue. What is important is the entry behavior of individuals, the preparation, the readiness that an individual puts in. Coming into a political office. It's, for me, it's seen as a career line. And when you are planning your own career, even in whatever, competence area you might be looking at, you prepare yourself for that. So nobody tells you that, you must be in a particular age before you can be current as to what happens in your locality and as what happens at the global stage. Take, for example, I know there are many communities we engage with. And in some of these communities, you see the people who are elderly are still in charge, giving the necessary directive, giving the necessary, direction as to even what these youth you are talking about, what they do. And of course, you also have, it's a vice versa thing. You also have some youths too who have equally developed themselves. So for me, I do not see any barrier as to talking about currency in terms of politics, in terms of socioeconomic developments, challenges. No, it's not a matter of age, please. It's a matter of your exposure and your experience and your readiness to progress and make success within the space that you are trying to occupy.
Mr. Johnson, let me come to you for this next question. And Mr. Bash, you can take a go at it right after Mr. Johnson. But do the both of you think that this bill stand a chance? I mean, from a constitutional standpoint, one can argue that this bill doesn't align with democratic principles, or it could face legal challenges. But more importantly is that the House itself is filled with, one might say, 70% of career politicians. And whether or not we are heading towards an election cycle, it may not pass through a second reading. That's what I reckon. But I want to ask you, do you think it would pass through a second reading or even be signed into law, given the ambitious politicians that we have in our terrain?
Okay, thank you. I mean, will it pass second reading? Second reading is done. It's supposed to, I believe, second reading was just done some days ago. But of course, the process is still very long. And will it see the light of day? I doubt. The reason why I doubt it is just, very plain and very simple. Because whether you like it or not, every sort of possible candidate, and I mean, even this bill, for example, will stop Mr. President from running in 2027. It's supposed to go to third reading, it's supposed to go to the Senate, and it's supposed to, of course, have 2/3 and then go to the State House of Assembly. So, I mean, all of the process before the presidential ascending on it and signing the bill into law will take time. And so would it happen before the next election? I doubt it. And I mean, I'm speaking very plainly to no matter how much it's going to be rushed, there's still going to be a lot of debate. And so some things will slow it down. And it may not happen for 2027. Maybe it will happen afterwards. It's possible. But I mean, if you ask me from where I sit, that will it generally scale? The answer will be no. Because, I mean, the conversation is that many people who have the sort of the experience and of course the capacity to run the nation, and just like Mr. Bash said, what is required for national politics? It's not for young people. It's not for just anyhow person. I mean, just like Mr. Bash just said, and I'll just take my position on it as I've always done, is that the Nigerian youth is a problem of Nigeria. And, you can quote me anywhere. 70% of the Nigerian population is the youth. We are the young people. We are the youth, and we are the ones that sort of old Nigeria. But yet Nigeria is what it is. So, I mean, what are we doing? Are we doing what we're supposed to do? Go and check all the current politicians. They all have young people around them as essays. So you ask the same question. I mean, you can argue that I've said this, I believe, on this platform and many other platforms, that it's not about the age, it's about the capacity, the competence, and what it takes, the character, the capability. I mean, so many things to look at for. If you have these career politicians with essays who are young and things are still the way they are, the question is, who is feeding them? Who is providing data? Who is providing advisory for those people, and all of that? And then you can argue it and say they don't listen. But trust me, if you ever be within these people and you sat with them without, biasness, without wearing a cup of the bias or what attack, you will discover that most of what is going on in this country are caused by the young people because we don't know what it takes, and everybody is just greedy. Everybody just want to take for themselves. So the National Assembly has a lot of work to do to make this bill go to pass. But will it scale? Will it ever be ascended to? I doubt it.
Gentlemen, don't we think we're being a bit tough on the younger generation, because they are the future. And they are the future of this country, and they make up, like you said, 70% of our population. They are disruptors by all metrics. They have disrupted every sector that I can think of, whether it is tech, fintech, the social media, fashion, lifestyle, entertainment. They continue to push the boundaries of what's possible. If they're able to do that in their own strata and field, whether it's a financial institution with the fintechs or with their technology and all of this that they're doing, democratizing these sectors, creating jobs in the way that they've been able to do, disrupting what is supposed to be the norm, don't you think that they can be leaders? Because our politics in and of itself is driven by cash. And the persons who are politicians and who are of the ruling class, what have they really, truly, indeed done that makes them any different from our youth? Are we being a bit harsh on them?
No, so this has been 30 years for me working with young people. I mean, I will always say this, and I pride myself to say it again. I'm the first and only youth performance consultant in the world. And you could just tell them, I mean, I speak to youth, I work with youth to ensure that they have, first of all, self-discovery. Number two, build capacity and build the right habits that can help them to become productive. Now, if you've spoken about a class of young people who are doing stuff, but if you check the number, I mean, I also study statistics in the university. If you check the numbers of those you're talking about, vis-a-vis the general public, you will discover that we are talking about a 1% of the 100%. So
Isn't
I'm
that
not
the same
saying that all the youth in Nigeria.
Yeah, but isn't that not the same with the elders and the ruling party? Is that not? I take that back. And like the government elite.
Yeah. So again, I mean, what I just stated to you, to take it further deeper, is that who have created this problem is the same, the so-called, career politicians, the older ones. They are the ones that created the problems for us over the years. Basically, number one, by disrupting and killing our educational system. I've said this since 2005. Dangote,
I'm
the
sorry.
Nigerian
We
economic
seem to
summit
have an
group,
issue with how you sound. We're not able to get you clearly. I don't know if you can check your device. Maybe there's something on the mic, because we're unable to hear everything you're saying with good clarity. But
can you hear me now? Maybe I should speak up a little bit. Is it
perhaps,
better?
but while you're getting that done, let's turn to Mr. Bash. Mr. Bash, there are other bills that were actually being looked at here. There's a second reading of the bill for an act to alter the Constitution to provide for mandatory inclusion of youth and also persons living with disabilities in political appointments. Now, I hear what you said, and I hear what Mr. Adeboale said from earlier regarding the fact that it's not just for the youth, but for people of correct character. But what challenges in the past have stopped the youth from getting these political offices? I'll even bring one to mind. Let's talk about finances. Apart from that, why have the youth seemed to take a back seat when it comes to actually driving, when it comes to the bus that leads politics inside of Nigeria? Mr. Bash, please.
Okay, I'm sure if I get your question right, he's asking why do the youth, go to the backstage when it comes to politics?
The challenges that they face.
I don't want to agree with you, and I'll tell you why. Let's go back into history now. Chief Obafemi Awolowo, Nnamdi Azikiwe, Tafawa Balewa, and all that, they were under the age of 40 or 50 when they were leading this country. So which means that from time immemorial, there has never been any deliberate attempt to shut the youth out. And if you recall what I said. Whoever is going to any career must prepare himself or herself well for it, must know what it takes to succeed in a particular career. So if Obafemi Awolowo, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe succeeded at such younger age, then it tells you that any other younger person today can equally succeed. But the question is this: how ready are they? Someone will tell you that power is not served a la carte. I mean, you don't donate power, you don't donate position to people. People prepare themselves, to get that. And if you look at even, the political landscape, you will see that there are some governors, there are some House of Assembly, House of Rep members who are below the age of, some below 40, some below 50. So generally, they are playing their role. I think the challenge is this extrajudicial pronouncement or extra-constitutional recommendation that there should be age limit to it. For me, it cannot even see the light of the day. That's the honest truth. Because when you're talking about this, it means everybody, almost 60, 70% of those who are currently in position of responsibility will not be able to contest. But that's apart from the fact that it's anti-democratic. And on a global level, Nigeria cannot be alone in the Committee of Nations. So for me, for the youth, there are no encumbrances, I can say
Mr.
that.
Bash.
After all,
Mr.
let's
Bash.
even look at the first
Mr. Bash.
wrong.
Mr.
Yes,
Bash,
please.
what about support from the older generation? We've seen plenty players, new players of, the age that you speak of, even younger, enter into the political scene only to be run over by the bigwigs, the people who have the financial capability. What about supporting these youth so that we can see them in higher positions when it comes to the office of politics in Nigeria? We don't see that happening, and that, in a way, is what I'm asking regarding the challenges that the youth face when they enter into politics. It's the fact that they don't have that financial might, and they don't get that support from the experienced politicians who themselves are still vying for these positions but have been there for so long. So talk to us regarding support.
I think saying that they don't have support is overgeneralization. With my own experience in political developments, a lot of elites, a lot of elders support the younger ones. I said earlier, there are political parties that make deliberate policies to say that anybody who's under age 40 will pay half of whatever is the nomination fee. There are some positions, you understand, within political parties, like the councillors, that say, okay, fine, anybody above so age, even in the party constitution is there, are not entitled to contest. But let me say this, why not glorifying the fact of God, Vadarism, and whatever? I know quite well that there are a lot of elders who give their own support to the younger generation. I think what matters is your approach, your ability to weather the storm, and your ability to wriggle within the political waters. Know your onions, know the game, know how to play the game, and know how to solicit support for people. Of course, I know for sure that even at the gubernatorial level, at House of Assembly, at whatever level, there's none of them who are there today that has not gotten one support or the other, you understand, from people. But the point again is that if you look at the political players, and in terms of Nigeria population, what is their number? For us to now conclude that they are so powerful enough not to support the younger ones. I think the space is open, and that's the honest truth. Every player should be able to understand the waters and know how to swim through it.
Great.
There are supports, I can tell you that.
Thank you, Mr. Bash.
It's not a common thing that they're not.
Mr. Adebowale, do you agree with Mr. Bash in terms of support for younger political aspirants?
I will say partially, because the understanding that I have is that I ran for office twice, and most of it I did with my own personal money and other young people around me supporting me. I got support from the older generation. In fact, to the best of my personal experience I was used to negotiate rather than, of course, having my position. And of course, the party, the state party chairman did that, to me, and he's not a young man. So The second time around, it was a young lady who was the state chairman of the party. And she fought vehemently for me to, secure my ticket because I actually won the primaries. But again, cheated out because there's an older man who seems and claims to have all the money and, wanted to just be the candidate. So, yes, my own personal experience speaks totally different from support because I can't tell you that I got any support from any other generation. And so, I mean, that's my own experience. I've seen people who have gotten support. The answer is yes. But the question is that those support comes with, just like Mr. Bass said, that sort of drive for, in quote, godfatherism. I dictate what you would do. And this is what we've also seen very much in Port Harcourt, in Rivers State, and definitely all around the country at various levels. So for me, I would rather stand back and be very critical with myself to say, do I have the capacity? Can I go the whole 9 yards? And can I, get our support from anyone and everyone, whether old or young? And if I can, then I'll go for it. If I can't, I step back. But I rather support, provide advisory than try to run for office when I can't see success at the end of the day.
All right, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Bash, we're pretty much almost out of time, but I'd like for you to answer this question very succinctly, right? And it's about the focus that we have on this constitutional amendment, which is the age limits, right? But more importantly, the House have been on the campaign for a constitutional amendment. I think about over 100 bills have been scaled through for a second reading. And one of them that was scaled through for a second reading but then pulled back was the age immunity bill, which sought to scrap out the immunity for the president, the vice president, the governor, and their deputies. And so I ask, what should the House, the chambers, both the green and red, be focusing on when it comes to political reforms, accountability, and transparency for the future? I'll start with you, Mr. Bash.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. You will observe that even their position on immunity for governor and all that, I am aware that they have reversed themselves. And I would not be surprised if they reverse themselves, as far as this age limit is concerned, Concerning the issue you raised, I think that our constitution, our efforts at those chambers should be geared towards getting governance to become more meaningful.
Seem to have lost Mr. Bash. Mr. Johnson, you have the floor.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I think what we should be looking at is looking out for how to stop corruption. Looking out for how to ensure. If they want to remove immunity from everyone, so that when you know that when you're in office and under your watch, something really, really against the law, something bad against the country, against the law happens, you get punished for it, and it's not until when you leave office after your term, and then you start seeking. It's ridiculous that we have a governor that is standing trial. We're really hearing that he wants to go into the Senate because of immunity. If we know that we don't give protection to public official holders, I think people will run away from going into crime, because this is it's a crime against the nation, against humanity, for you to sit in office and then under your watch, things are going wrong. The nation is suffering. The people are suffering. Well over 200 million people are suffering. People should be punished for such. So if they want to remove immunity to protect people from crime, I think it should be done, of course, at all levels, not just certain levels, protecting one or two offices. So everybody should be able to face the music.
All right. Gentlemen, we must say thank you so much for taking out the time to join us this morning and to give us your insight on this proposed amendment. So let's see whether or not it was scaled through. But once again, thank you, Mr. Adebowale Johnson, who's a political analyst, and also joining us was Mr. Akinola Bash, who's an APC chieftain, as well as a public affairs analyst. Let's switch gears, shall we, as we are about to bring you sights and sounds from the prayer grounds across the country. And this time we're bringing Chinwe Ugeli from Delta State. Chinwe, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Judy. Thank you for having me.
Good morning. I can see that you're outside of the mosques in Abia State. You have the floor. Go ahead. What's going on?
Okay. Well, it's not a mosque. I'm in front of the stadium where a section of the Muslims here in Abia State, usually go for their Eid celebrations. So this morning, just a while ago, the gate was not opened, and you had a number of them already in the premises. But then just like a minute ago, the gate was thrown open. So they are ready. They have come to, celebrate the Eid today.
Okay, are we expecting any further celebrations from outside of the stadium, or is that where everything is going to happen?
No, there's actually a second ground in front of the government house. That is the library board, where another section also celebrates. So after here now, I'll be also moving to that place to see how things are, coming up. A while ago, I spoke with one of the leaders, Abraham Salihu. I think the cameraman had gone up there to fetch him. So, but he told me that they are in a celebratory mood. And all except, he was a bit worried that the stadium gate was not open as of the time people arrived this spring. But I believe that in a few moments from now, the whole place will get involved. Okay, so I have him here with me. Come closer, okay, please. Okay, so you know your call. So tell us your name, sir.
I'm Paul. My name is Malam Saliu Abdurrahman from Kogi State.
All right, sir. So tell us what the celebration today is about.
The significance of today's Salah or Eid al-Fitr. It's all about God to know, or for the human being to know what the poor are passing through. That is the significance of fasting. Because some people are there, you cannot even feed once in a day, talking of 3 times in a day. But some people are there wasting food. So that God now said the Muslim should be fasting so that we can know what the people are passing through. So that we should know those people that he bestows his favor upon, should know how to control it.
Now, is it also good that people will adhere to these instructions just within this period, and after now they will, discard it and begin to live the way they are used to?
Thank you so much. That's a very good question. Never. God wants us to use this period at just a certain point to know what we should be doing. It's supposed to be continued. People will have the fasting will fast in the next month. This month we step into today. We have 6 to fast. Another previous subsequent months, we need to be fasting Thursday and the Monday. I think that will keep the spirit within you, and then for you to know what people are passing through.
Thank you very much. Okay, have a lovely celebration. Okay, so there you had it from one of the worshippers, and that's what the celebration is all about.
All right. Well, Chinwe, many thanks. I honestly love Eid for one thing, and it's basically because of the Eid attires. And hopefully, I hope you bring us all the videos from all of the Eid outfits that all of the Muslim faithfuls will be wearing for the end of the month of Ramadan celebrations. I can't wait to see those footages.
Okay, sure. I'll do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, we also hear that we have our correspondent, Umaru Kirawa, who's going to be telling us what the situation is in his location. Umaru Kirawa, good morning. Are you there? I'm hoping that you're there so we can get the sights and sounds from the north. Umaru? Yes. Look at Umaru.
Yes, a very good morning and Eid Mubarak to all.
Eid Mubarak to you as well.
Umaru, you surprised us today, Umaru. We were expecting the hat and the kaftan.
Yeah.
What's going on with the shirt, the suit, the tie?
Well, everything is just fine, you know. For yesteryears, people could not provide a large number like this. And if you can see right behind me, you'll see hundreds
and thousands of Muslim faithful converge here at the Ramat Square just to witness the historic Eid after a month-long Ramadan fast, a moment which the Muslim community considered as sacred and one of the 5 pillars of Islam. And the unfortunate good news, anyway, the unfortunate news here is people are expecting to see the Vice President here in Maiduguri to celebrate with them, but we've learned that the Vice President possibly will not be here. He will be in Sokoto, and the governor, the state governor too, is in Saudi Arabia. He went for lesser Hajj, and the deputy governor too is in Biu town because of he lost his elder brother. However, people here continue to troop in their numbers to witness the 2 Rakat Eid prayer. And I have one of the Muslim faithful here. The farko ka gaya mana cikakken sunanka. Okay. So what is it like for you this year's 2025 Eid?
Umaru, we can't hear the guest. We're unable to hear him.
All right, so if you can hear me now, what the guest is saying is that they are happy to witness this year's Eid, and they are here at the Ramat Square, Maiduguri, to witness the 2 Rakat prayer. Now the Imam is delivering his sermon with regard to what people really need to do, what they should continue doing, taking into cognizance the teachings, the tenets of Islam, and of course the good deeds that people have continued to exhibit during the month of Ramadan, that people should not leave those good deeds, but they should continue with the good deeds. As you can see, the crowds continue to troop here. You can see these are women. The women call this the site for the women. You know?
Umaru, we have lost your visual there. Umaru Kirawa live from the prayer grounds there in Borno State, Maiduguri. And Maiduguri has hit, it's been quite a tough year for them with the flooding from last year. And so to just see them out in their numbers.
And color.
Celebrating, it's... Umaru, we have you back on. I was saying that that what's a sight for us to witness, given how it's been one of those rough years for Maiduguri, especially with the flooding that happened last year, and just, culminating to seeing them out in numbers and, celebrating in their colorful attire it's a sight to behold. Umaru.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. People have to be resilient. They went through very dark ages of the insurgency and, of course, the 10th September flood disaster that had ravaged their communities. But they have no any other option. It's a natural disaster and coupled with some negligence. But people are resilient enough to continue with their life. They say Hakuna Matata mostly here.
Hakuna Matata. That's South African, if I'm not mistaken.
Or should I say Bawahala?
Bawahala. Let's do that one instead. Kirawa, thank you very much. We'll be coming back to you from time to time. Hopefully there are other events that are planned for the course of the day, and after this morning's sermons, the families will be retreating to their homestead to share with their neighbors. And if you can, please bring something back or send something down for us.
Also, Umaru, when I see you next time, I want you to be in your Babariga and your cap as well.
Yeah, we're used to seeing you like that. Thank you, Umaru. Looking forward to seeing you more through the course of today's show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, there's that thing where you meet someone you know, say, let me use here as an example, News Central, and you meet them, let's say you meet them in Morocco.
Yeah.
And you don't know who they are.
Look.
Because they're out of place. It's not that you don't know them. You're like, I know you
your
from
face
somewhere,
looks familiar,
but you don't belong
like,
here.
you're
it's
out
the same
of place.
thing with you, Maru. That's exactly what just happened.
Goodness me. We're supposed to have one of our correspondents as well, Emmanuel Bagudu, who's going to join us live from Kano, but we'll try to bring you that report. Now, today is pretty much the end of the month of Ramadan, and so we're bringing you all the sights and sounds from here, Lagos, Abuja, the capital, as well as the southeast, and not to forget the north as well. Just across Nigeria for all of the Muslim faithfuls. But first, let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, there's more. Stay here.
Welcome back. We've still got our correspondents across Nigeria. We'll be bringing to you one after the other to give us the sights, the sound, the color of the Eid celebration happening right now. It's the Salah. It's the end of a month of fasting, and I bet everybody's looking forward to plenty of food, plenty of celebration, plenty of family, plenty of friends. And of course, speaking about color, Judith came out in her own Friday best, Sunday best.
Sunday best.
It's Friday best if it's Muslim.
Sunday
best if it's Christian. So let's
Eid, my Eid fit,
your Eid
my
best.
Eid best.
Your
There we
Eid
go.
best.
Eid
Let's
best.
put it so.
Look, listen, I'm excited. I cannot wait.
Or you have plans for later?
No,
Muslim
I
families
just
to
no. Look, I just love the outfits. Listen, the fits, ooh, nicely pressed, with the jalabiyas and how it's bejeweled. Oh, give me that! I love it so. I cannot wait. That's my favorite thing of Eid, just the clothes.
Wow.
And the fashion. And when they put on the sunglasses, oh. They're killing me.
I think you're hunting for something different. It's very different.
What is it? Yeah, no, I love fashion. I love fashion.
Oh, yeah, the men that wear them.
Well,
Let's speak to one of our very interesting correspondents all the way from Kano. I think Emmanuel Bagudu is joining us right now. Emmanuel, good morning. Please tell us what it is like in your location. How are the celebrations going on?
Yes. A very good morning from Kano. I'm standing right at the Eid Center, Eid Ground in Kano, and of course, dignitaries have arrived. The governor and his deputy are here. The Emir of Kano, 60 Emir of Kano, Mohammed II, has led in the prayer. And of course, the Muslims are excited that it's Salah day already. And then, of course, right now, the 60 Emir of Kano is preaching, delivering a sermon on the Eid Ground, calling on citizens to remain in peace. And of course, he just raised an issue about the killing that happened in Edo State, where he called on authorities to make sure that justice is done to those citizens of Kano who were killed on their way coming back for Salah. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Emmanuel, regarding the ban on activities because of the situation regarding the emirship, how is that being handled by the people in Kano?
Yes. The people are not happy, but of course you can see how they turn up. They are coming out in mass. The people are not happy, but of course we are seeing a little indication that there may be a mini carnival because there are horses that are already on ground. We have camels and horses that are already on standby, with an indication that there may be a mini carnival. And then of course the people are very excited. They are saying that no carnival and the Salah will be boring, but they look forward to seeing the emir coming out of the Eid ground after delivering his sermon to mount at least one of the horses that are being, parked outside. So they're not feeling happy, but they hope that the celebration will be exciting despite the ban in the carnival. Yeah.
And from behind you, there, I can see all the children. They're just excited and wanting to be part of the shot. Were you able to talk to do you have any respondents for us that we can speak to and just to feel their pulse?
Okay, let me talk to this young man. Yeah, I cannot do with Salah. Why are magana? So can I do magana? You magana idea.
Barka ku da happy sallah ina yau kowa fatan alkhairi.
Ya, fata alheri ko? Me sakon ki ga al'umma Kano a ranar sallah ta yau.
Gaskiya ina musu barka da sallah. Allah ya sa yi sallah lafiya.
Amin. So the excitement is still out there, and of course they are happy that they want everybody to celebrate Salah in peace, and they can't wait to have a very, very, lovely celebration. Yeah.
Yeah, Emmanuel, of course, and we just all we hope for is peace in the land. But I cannot help but look up at the bridge above you. It seems that there are gentlemen or there are persons on the railings on the bridge.
We have a lot of them. We have a lot of them there. All over, all excited.
I do hope that the security is tight there as well.
Yeah, the security is very tight. Of course, very, very tight security because of the threat. Of course. So we expect that the security men are going to be at the top of their game, and they are not going to encounter any issue here.
Emmanuel, I must say thank you. Let me leave you to just go on with your assignment, but thank you so much for giving us such beautiful sights.
Yeah,
thank
that was
you.
beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know about you. I was so excited to hear the lady. She was so happy and everything.
I see why I told you it is my favorite. I just love it. And then the lily on the hands.
What's it called?
Lily.
I don't know what it's called, but it's very interesting.
It's henna.
Yeah. I've never really enjoyed or allowed myself to absorb any celebration. I've only just started to do that, and I'm beginning to see the happiness that it actually brings. It's joy, not even happy. Joy is the word. It's longer lasting than the happiness. It's beautiful. And I'm hoping everybody out there who's celebrating a very good day. Eid Mubarak is the greeting.
Yeah, Eid Mubarak.
I'm wishing Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim friends, brothers, sisters, and family. Yes, I am. Now we're going to go on a break, but not to fear, we will be bringing you more from across the country as the celebrations continue with our correspondents who have been posted in different parts of Nigeria. So stay with us. This is, of course, Breakfast Extra for News Central. Welcome back, and keeping to our promise, we will still be bringing to you updates from across Nigeria regarding the celebration for Salah, as we have Muslim faithfuls rounding up the month of Ramadan. And of course, News Central correspondents across Nigeria will be bringing us details about what's happening with the colorful celebrations. But before we go to Delta State, where we have Austin Azu waiting, wanted to talk to you about something that we mentioned while we were talking to Bagudu regarding the situation in Kano with the Emirship tussle still happening, whether you like it or not.
The Emir Derby.
What?
Emir Derby.
Derby? I mean, well, yeah. But I'm more focused on culture here. The fact that culture seems to be erasing because of the egos of, well, it's actually politics. It's a shifting issue, but then again, there are political undertones. And if we are beginning to substitute this or take away our culture at the end of the day, that's something very troubling. I do not see any reason why culture should be erased because of, I don't know what.
Is it really, maybe not erasure. Maybe culture used as a pawn for their chess game. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You have to put that in the balance and make the people not experience what is tradition and what is culture for them because of your power tussle. I guess that's what it is.
I will say, however, that the police reaction is proactive, because if you have two notable emirs in court in one place and supporters, you can imagine what might go wrong.
Right.
So calling for a cessation of whatever is planned regarding the festivities or the Durbar, as it's called, I understand that, but I think that there could have been some give somewhere to meet in the middle, somewhere to perhaps say, okay, it can be celebrated, but in this form and to this extent, not a total cancellation of the entire Durbar, because have you seen a Durbar?
Are you joking?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It is colorful, it's beautiful, the horses.
Right,
oh.
But also, I think that it's best that it was stalled, and I'll say why. The security matters, right? As you said, security rightfully matters, and you don't want an insecurity issue to stain a culture that is close to their heart. So it's better to stall it, not perform this year, and everyone solve that issue, and let's come back bigger and stronger.
In any case, we have Austin Azu, who is alive in Delta State right now. He's also wearing a tie this morning, just like we had Kirao. Austin, you have to explain to us why you're in a shirt and a tie today, because we just had Kirao and he was also wearing a tie. So you people had the same memo, I guess.
I mean, we want to talk. We're wearing suits. What are you talking about?
I know, right? Austin, tell us what's going on in Delta State.
Yes, very good morning to you, and of course, happy Eid victory to our Muslim brothers. And of course, today is equally a Sunday, and of course, we don't expect those of us who go to church, of course, not to go to church without the tie. And today is equally moderate Sunday as well. So, coincidentally, we have a lot of celebrations going on today. And currently, we are at the Eid prayer ground, where our Muslim faithful are observing the, Eid victory victory today after the months of Ramadan. And of course, you can see behind me, individuals, the faithful, they are here to, say their prayers and to celebrate the Eid victory. I have a handful of them here to share to us, tell us how the journey has been so far, and of course, the significance of this celebration. Of course, I have Alhaji Tuko, Awulu Tuko. He's going to share. He's going to talk to us on several issues. Okay, sir. It has been a wonderful month, and of course, you guys successfully have ended the Ramadan fast, and you are here to celebrate the Eid victory. Okay, tell us what are the significance of this celebration.
You see, we just observe our fasting. The significance is that God wants to show us that there is no difference between the rich and the poor. You see, this fasting, the rich also observe it, the poor also observe it, so that the rich will test the suffering where the poor they have. And it is commandment by Almighty Allah. He is one that instructs us to observe this fasting. That is why we are following the commandment of Almighty Allah.
Okay, apart from what you just said now, what significance will you really point down to the facts of what's happening in Nigeria today? What did you observe during your month of Ramadan?
You see, this month of Ramadan teaches you to be patient, to love your neighbor. Because our prophet told us you cannot be a Muslim except you like your neighbor the way you like yourself. You cannot be a good Muslim except you love your brother the way you love yourself. And this thing teaches you a lot of things within this last month. It teaches you to be patient, to be perseverance, to be tolerant, and to be dedicated to Almighty God, to fear God, and to support the needy. It is very, very important to share what you have with your neighbors and the needy, the poor.
Okay, thank you very much. We have another faithful here to church to us. We have Yusuf Zakari Musa. Okay, take us through your experience during the month of Ramadan.
Okay, good morning everyone. My experience during the month of Ramadan. Ramadan teaches us about peace, because it teaches us to be peaceful with one another. Because Islamically, when you're angry with your fellow human being, with your fellow brother, and you stayed for 3 days, Allah will not accept that you are fasting, He will not accept your salat, everything. So even if you are angry with him, no matter what he did to you, it's just 3 days. So after that 3 days, you have to go and talk to the person. So it's just all about peace, tolerance. You understand? So when you embrace the teachings of this Ramadan, at the end of the day, you will find out that the issue of insecurity that we are having in the country is due to the peace, and because people are taking advantage of others in terms of maybe worldly things because of these kidnappers and the rest. So by the time you embrace these teachings of Islam, by God's grace, everything will be okay. Everything will go fine.
Okay, thank you, Musa. All right, we have Salusi to tell us more. Okay, during your fasting, please, what did you pray about, particularly regarding the issues confronting Nigeria?
My prayer to this country, we need peace everywhere we find ourselves. Being a Muslim or Christian, anywhere you find yourself, you share that love that you feel that is very common. It matters to share to one another. And I'm saying happy Salah to everyone.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, you have heard it from the faithful here, and of course they are quite happy about the celebration, and they actually expressed themselves on what they did during the month of Ramadan. And the Eid prayer is about to start. The Imam just came in, and of course we'll be bringing you more updates regarding the celebration here in Asaba.
Thank you very much,
Right.
Austin.
Austin, thank you so much. Austin, you didn't know that you're not supposed to share your prayers during what you prayed for the month of Ramadan. Well, that's a teaching moment for everyone. But Austin, many thanks. We appreciate you for doing this with us. And we hope to see you with your Babariga, your proper outfit for Eid. Okay?
Bye-bye, Austin. We'll come back to you
Thank
later.
you so much, Austin.
Yeah, interesting there to see the mass of people even in Delta State.
Yes.
Gives you an idea of the representation, Muslim representation inside of that
Yes,
state.
absolutely.
Anyway,
yeah.
you go actually. I was pleased, very pleased in March to be riding through a village in Delta State and meeting this very interesting old man who was at the time also celebrating or observing the
Ramadan.
fasting. It was just so out of place, deep in the village of Delta State. There he was. Interesting. I should have taken a picture. I didn't. I wonder why.
Oh, gosh.
So sorry. Next time.
Yeah, there was a kid in school, in our secondary or primary school. She was Igbo through and through, but they were Muslims.
Interesting.
I know. They were through, but they were Muslims.
That's very interesting.
It was the same thing you said, a face in a different place.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it shifts the neuroplasticity of my brain as a child that I realized that religion oftentimes is not about region.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's culture.
It's
But
culture,
then again, like we said from before, we'll be bringing you more of our correspondents from across Nigeria as they give us the sight, sounds, and of course the color of the festivities happening as Muslim faithfuls celebrate the Eid here today, marking the end of a month of fasting and supplication to Allah. Do stay with us here at News Central. For Breakfast Extra, we've got conversations coming your way regarding the state of things in Nigeria. Also something on health as we commemorate World Tuberculosis Day. So do stay tuned. We'll go on a break and we'll be right back.
And you're welcome back. And it's off to the capital, Abuja, where we have Joshua Imarayi on standby to give us the sights and sounds from the Eid celebration in the capital. Joshua, a very good morning to you and Eid Mubarak.
Good morning to you, Judith. Good morning to you, Martino. Eid Mubarak to you and all of our viewers at home, our beautiful viewers at home. I'm currently at the National Eid Ground here in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, where our worship has just rounded up their prayers. As you can see, they are trying to head back home. It has been a month of Ramadan, a long month of Ramadan. As you can see, they are done with their prayers and they are heading back home. As you know, it has been a long month of Ramadan where they've had to fast for almost a month. And they are ever joyous, ever faithful, and ever resilient and hopeful that things will turn out well.
Oh yes, were you able to talk to any of the celebrants today, any of the Muslim faithfuls, and what was the mood like when you spoke to them?
Seems to be having network issues. I really wanted him to tell us exactly what the situation was in Abuja. As you know, Abuja is the center for Nigeria, and I'm expecting that it's going to be an even bigger celebration there.
Oh yes. With the cars, with the flashy, with the sunglasses.
That's for after. That's in the evening. In the evening.
And the buffets as well. There's always Eid buffets, and in all the top hotels.
I haven't been to an Eid buffet, but I would love to.
You've never been to an iftar buffet before?
No, I haven't. Like I said, I've only just started to absorb other cultures.
You need to try it and meet it.
I will.
Yeah.
Joshua is back with us. Joshua, welcome back. Joshua, we were asking you other questions regarding the celebrations happening inside of Abuja, being the center. Is it bigger than what we'd expect in other states? And have you spoken to anybody regarding the celebrations and what they're expecting for later on in the day after the prayers?
Well, I have quite a number of Muslim faithful here. Some of them are present for it. So I don't know if some of them would like to speak to me concerning the Ramadan. Good afternoon, sir. You might be live on television. You might speaking with us. You don't mind? Well, some of them seem not to be comfortable with the camera, but I spoke to a number of...
we seem to be having issues with Joshua Marai's internet, all thanks to the gremlins in the system. But we'll try to bring the sights and sounds properly. I'm sure they're going to, every single one of them are going to filing a report for us during the subsequent news bulletins at the top of every hour. So watch out for that for 12, also for 3 and 6 p.m. as well. The visuals you're seeing on your screen is a live feed from Delta State, where we have our correspondent, Austin Azu, on standby there as Muslim faithfuls are just marking the end of the holy month of Ramadan. You see what I'm telling you about the colors?
The colors, yeah.
It's just, oh, goodness me. Love it, love it. And just the prayers there, praying for the end, you know. And we wish all of our viewers and all the Muslim faithfuls Eid Mubarak.
Visuals there from Delta State with Austin Azu, who's on standby. We'll be going to him momentarily, and also our other correspondents across Nigeria as they are helping observe the Eid celebrations happening after a month of Ramadan, and they'll be bringing us live pictures, videos, and of course, details about what's happening. But let's talk about our first big report for today. Now, security concerns have once again gripped Delta State as students of the Federal College of Education Asaba staged a peaceful protest following a brutal attack allegedly carried out by suspected herdsmen. This latest incident has sparked fresh concerns over the safety of students and staff, especially with reports of land grabbing worsening the situation. The provost of the institution, Professor Josephine Anene Okakwa, has raised alarm over the persistent threat posed by criminals gaining access to the college. Meanwhile, students demand urgent government intervention to prevent further violence. Now, in this special report here, our correspondent Austin Azu brings us more details. Let's take a look.
The Federal College of Education, Technical Asaba, Delta State Capital, witnessed a temporary shutdown of academic activities for hours. Our students, carrying various placards with different inscriptions, locked the entrance gates to protest the incessant attacks by suspected herdsmen, among other security challenges.
We are protesting because there is lack of security in this school. There is no street lights. Even the hostel they built new in this school is Fulani that are sleeping inside the hostel. It's outside people that are sleeping inside the hostel. Like yesterday, students were attacked when coming back from outside the school inside the hostel. And one boy, they wanted to cut the girl's neck, and the boy now used his hand to save the girl's neck, and they machete that guy's hand. They're ripping our girls in this school. They're stealing from us. We're no longer safe in this school. We're no longer safe. We don't have security. No lights. No fence. As of yesterday, we had an attack in this school. And this year alone, we've had series of attacks. We've already told the school about it. Nothing has been done about it. They keep telling us that they will get back to us. Even to the extent they told us that there is no evidence to what we've been saying. So please, they should give us street lights, fence, and they should give us our clinics are not even functioning at all. Then we need security.
Victor Ogo shared his traumatic experience.
I was ambushed while coming back from work yesterday night by some Fulani men in my own school. We were just passing the field though. We just wanted to come out from that field side, the back of the building. The guys just came out, 3 of them with sharp cutlass. They held me by my bag. I could not run. They just stood by the girl, telling the girl, give me your phone, give me your phone, give me your phone. She said she does not have phone, she does not have phone. I was trying to tell the guy, bro, relax now, let's talk this thing out. He just swing the cutlass to my leg. I used my hand to block it. That was how the thing just cut me on my hand.
Provost of the college, Professor Josephine Anene Okakwa, who was also locked outside, provides an account of the institution's struggles with insecurity.
Nobody gave Fulani herdsmen. We drive them. We call police to even chase them. You know when they are building a place, uncompleted building, you see them going inside there, going to hide. We drive them. We get police. And even some of them are even in prison now. Some are in court with the college. It's not that we kept quiet. You understand? Nobody will see the kind of thing and keep quiet. Some of them are in court. Some have gone to prison because of these things. We chase them. And you see, land grabbers, when they come, they break our fences. They break our fences. That is where they enter from. And I've written severally for them to come and help me erect the fence again. And their government is doing something about it.
Meanwhile, Police Public Relations Officer in Delta State, Bright Dafe, says the State Commissioner of Police has scheduled a meeting with the college provost and management to prevent any further insecurity and unrest in the college. In Asaba for News Central, Austin Azu.
Well, that's the very worrying report from Asaba there. We saw the provost and the details shared there by the students. The instances are grim. We're going to try and get our correspondent who brought us that report, Austin Azu, on. But for now, let's go on a break. And when we get back, we'll have this discussion.
And you're welcome back. Earlier, we shared with you a report that was filed in by our correspondent following a situation at the Federal College of Education in Asaba, which is yet another example of the growing security challenges affecting educational institutions in Nigeria, with students demanding protection and school authorities calling for urgent intervention. And so to go in depth into the discussion, we're joined by two guests. First is Austin Azu, who filed in the report. Austin, thank you so much for joining us. Also joining us is Professor Josephine Anene Okakwa. She is the provost of the college. Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining us. Austin, let me start with you and just ask really just your account of just being there. Were you able to inspect the school when you spoke to the students? What was, their pulse? We saw the videos, we saw their injuries, but give us a sense of what really happened.
Of course, the Federal College of Education, Technical Asaba, has been experiencing serious varies of insecurity in the past few years. And just about a few days ago, the students felt they could no longer control it. They have to express themselves, and they have to hit the premises of the college to, demonstrate. Of course, that's attracted some attention. It caught our attention as journalists. Of course, we have to quickly go into the area and find out what is actually their pains. From the report we just heard, we heard some of their pains. But however, we went further to find out what was alleged to be the root cause of the insecurity, which the professor and the provost of the college equally told us. After the protest, we went to our office to interview her. Of course, she told us so many issues regarding the issue of land grabbing. That is very outstanding from what she said. And of course, we have conducted around the perimeter fence, and we discovered that, yes, the fence has been broken down. And not only that, we have some individuals who have decided to occupy middle of the land. So obviously, it means that the premises is porous. It gives room for all kinds of persons to enter into the school, and of course, you know what it means. And these students, they have their hostels at the school, and they have their lecture halls, and so on and so forth. So it becomes a serious challenge. And obviously, we drove to a point whereby I have to tell the driver, please, we have to return, because from the signals we saw along the road, of course, the place is not really safe. Imagine how it's going to look like in the night. So it becomes a really serious challenge for the students of the college. However, from what you said so far, they are still appealing to the federal governments and to the state governments to intervene so that the students and the staff will be able to, go about their lawful duties. And of course, when security is not guaranteed, what will become the fate of the students and of course the lecturers as well? So these are the things we discovered during our reports.
Professor, I'd like to come to you and ask, just giving, what our reporter has reiterated, describe the security situation at the college and how long has these attacks been happening?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You see, before I came on board, there has been small, stealing and the rest of them. But it became obvious about 2 years ago. When we come to school, I will go around, you will see some part of the fence pulled down. We'll be wondering who is doing this, you understand? We'll be going around, do you come another time, another part of the fence will be pulled down. At a point, we had a gate, massive gate at the back of the school. The gate was pulled out, the fence pulled down. So late 2003, they brought to my attention that there's one Obueshi Modi bulldozing the place, destroying the fence. I said, for what? That they are selling the land. And they had armed thugs, policemen, everybody inside there. I now called him, I said, because I know him. I said, Obueshi, what are you doing there? He said, what are you doing there? Stop that thing you are doing. This is Federal College of Education land, for God's sake. Why are you pulling down our fences and everywhere, destroying our economic crop, destroying students' farm? He started laughing and he laughed at me. Maybe because I'm a woman. We called we wrote a petition to the area command. They invited us. Even in spite of that, he was still working. I was in Abuja. They called me that this man is still working. I called the area command. I said, this man is still working there. Please send your men to stop him. At least let us know what is happening. The man kept on working until I wrote a petition to Inspector General of Police. You understand? I wrote. And they invited us. He refused to come initially. So they came down with us to inspect what is happening. They met workers there. He ran away. The man that bought the land, they said is Big C. They absconded. So they picked the two men from there and went to Abuja and kept them until they see the perpetrators. They didn't come. So after some time, they invited me back at Abuja. I came. They pleaded with me that they should release these men, that they are not the people who are selling the land. They were just workers. They met there. So I obliged. And they now called the man that if he doesn't come, they will declare him wanted. And he appeared. And he was made to sign an undertaking. I wouldn't know what he told them. Fashola said, this one said,
Professor,
this one said. I said, bring documents.
Professor,
yes, my
now
dear.
you've just given us an insight into exactly what's been happening regarding the porousness of the university environment.
It is the opening of the pulling down of the fence that made the whole place porous.
Okay.
And headsmen started coming inside. Okay. You understand? They now have free access. Anybody can enter the college anyhow.
Okay.
And you would have known the effort we made. We have been making efforts. You understand?
Now, regarding those
efforts,
though
the
Professor,
man is still resisting it.
Regarding those efforts that you're making, what action are you getting from the authorities? Because I heard you inside of a report say that you have actually told the authorities about the situation, the security situation.
Good.
But it seems like as if there has been
I was at that point when you stopped me now.
Go ahead then.
When I wrote that petition to Inspector General, I copied the DSS, I copied my Federal Minister of Education, I copied the Asaba of Asaba, I copied EFCC and ICPC. I escalated the problem so that anybody that can come and help us will come and help us, you understand? And he was made to sign an undertaking that he will not enter that land again. So from there, I wrote to TED Fund to help us that we need perimeter fence for the sake of staff, at least for the safety of staff and students, you understand? And we have been following it up. In fact, they were there when I called them at TED Fund. They said, yes, I think they are making efforts to help us.
The
Those
action
who are
from
doing
the
it, I call them.
authorities, how have they been attending to this? Are they attending to it swiftly, or is it taking time?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. That's what I'm telling you now that we are doing. We are not sleeping. You understand? We are not sleeping. And if the man stops now, if government stops him, they will come in. I even wrote to the governor. The governor set up a committee and sent them to go and demolish whatever they have built there. The man refused. You understand? The man refused. That has been our problem. And he's still pulling down fences as I'm talking to you now, with impunity.
All right. Professor, many thanks for that. Let me come to Austin Azu, because we're really pressed for time. Austin, I have to ask, right, in researching for this interview today, I found articles as far back as 2017, and they were all tagged insecurity in Delta, and they were all headsmen attack. And so now from the professor's account of the security situation in the school, it boils down to land grabbing. And so is there a correlation between the two, the attacks and land grabbing, or is that more at play here? You on ground, what's really going on?
Yes, if I can get you very correctly, once the area has become so porous, of course, you give room for, kinds of, very unscrupulous elements for them to gain access into the premises. And this has become a huge concern, like you rightly pointed. In 2017, of course, I equally covered a particular insecurity outbreak in that particular college, where a student was, similar accident, was, harassed and, tortured by the suspected criminals that invaded the school that particular period. So it has become a reoccurring decimal, like what she rightly said, because if that particular session that has been pulled down, if that place can be, raised up with a very high fence, it will be very difficult for anyone to gain entrance into the premises. And very funny enough, what we equally discovered in course of our report, we discovered that half of the land has been divided, and we saw a real estate signpost mounted there. So obviously, it seems that that particular land grabber has decided to be selling the land to other persons. And that particular school was established during the Bendem. And since 1985 to date, you can discover that a lot of development might have taken place. So obviously, some people would like to come and, settle within the school land, which is not encouraged, because we saw the documents of the land, we saw the hectares of the land, and equally saw the structure that has been built in that place. So that is why you discover that successive lawmaker who has gone to Abuja will always make an appeal to the federal government to upgrade the status of that school. Because if that school is upgraded to a university, for instance, more development will take place, and of course they will start building and start occupying the land. So since the land grabbers have been seeing those vacant land, that perhaps might be giving them some kind of encouragement for them to start encroaching. But of course, government has the document of the land, and I believe at the right time government will speak and act accordingly.
Emmanuel, we must say thank you so much for taking out the time to come on here. Austin, as you forgive me, Austin, many thanks for doing this with us, and also to you, ma'am, Professor Anene Okakwa. Thank you so much for insight. We do hope that this has shed a light, and we do hope that the right authorities are doing what needs to be done, and also we hope that the institution is doing their best to protect the students at this time so it doesn't disrupt their education. Let's go on a short break. When we return our focus to health, and this time we want to sound the alarm on tuberculosis. After the break, stay with us.
Final quarter inside our second hour for Breakfast Extra here on News Central. As you know, and of course Judith, and we have our correspondents spread across the country bringing us sight, sound, color from the festivities that are happening as Muslim faithfuls celebrate the Eid. It's Eid Mubarak. Congratulations after a month of fasting, and now it's time to eat all you can, I guess. But let's find out what's happening across Lagos as we have our correspondent Bernard Akede, who is at Dodden Barracks in Ikoyi. Bernard, please give us an idea of what's happening at your location.
All right, good morning, Mazino. Good morning, Julie. Just before the Muslim faithful go on to eat all they can, like you clearly stated this morning, they have to observe the traditional Eid prayers this morning. And here at Dodden Barracks, the prayers will commence by 10 a.m. Other places, I think they started by 9. But here, because this usually is the traditional prayer ground for the dignitaries, I think they give that 1 hour lapse so that everybody can assemble here. Starting from the left, you will see that the women are kneeling or sitting here, and this is where they take their own prayers. As you know, in Islam, the men and the women do not mix during prayers. So you have the women on this side taking their own prayers, still being led by the chief imam, who, might I add, just arrived a few minutes ago. You have all the women here on the prayer mats, just seated. And then to my left, you now have the men observing their own prayers. And when I got here earlier, it was a bit scanty, but of course, as we approach the 10 o'clock hour, the crowd and the numbers have continued to increase. What you have noted, as I mentioned earlier, is the fact that this is the prayer ground where most of the dignitaries come to observe their Eid prayers, whether it is this Eid that commemorates the end of fasting, or the bigger Eid which we the Christians look forward to, the one where they slaughter rams and then they give us some to eat. Also, I'd like to mention here that if the president was in Lagos, this is where he would have been celebrating his Eid amidst heavy security presence. But however, he's not in Lagos. We hear he'll be celebrating in Abuja. But I'd like to state some recognizable dignitaries who came in here earlier. First, we had the Deputy Governor of Lagos, Obafemi Hamzat. He's seated somewhere in there. We'll try catch him when we can. There's also Mr. Agoro, who's the head of service. He also is seated in there. And just before you came live to me, we had the former governor of Lagos, Fashola. He also came in here looking very young, I might add. And then, of course, the chief imam, who also just arrived in preparation to the 10 o'clock hour when the actual prayers will begin, also has gone in to prepare himself for the prayers. There also have been other dignitaries who have come in, male and female alike. And in the next 1 hour, between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock this morning, they will be observing the Eid prayers right here at the Dodden Barracks prayer ground.
Thank you so much. Bernard Akede is our correspondent live from Dodden Barracks in Ikoyi, Lagos, giving us a bit of insight there, some sights and sound before the prayer commences by 10 a.m.
We're also going to go live to Chizoba Anyanwe now to give us details about her location. Chizoba, good morning. Thank you very much for joining Breakfast Extra. What's happening where you are at now?
Very well. Okay, so good morning, everyone. Here in Jos at the Fiber Mosque at the Old Airport roundabout. You can see behind me the prayers just ended, and everyone is joyfully going home to celebrate Salah. You know, for 1 month, everyone has been looking forward to this day, and thankfully, everything ended peacefully. You know, without rancor, without any fight and everything. It's been peaceful all the way, and they're so joyous. Prayer has just ended, like I said, and it's to your homes for celebration.
Yeah, this is good. It's also good to see you in the right attire because we've been querying most of our correspondents for being in suit and tie, but you're well represented. Thank you very much. What's planned for after the Eid prayers? Was there anything told? Are there any festivities? In Kano, there was supposed to be a Durbar, but I think it's been reduced to mini Durbars, even though they've been asked by the State Police Command not to have any of these. But in Plateau State, are there any sort of festivities that might happen after the Eid prayer?
Well, to start with, it is said that when you go to Rome, you behave like a Roman, so that is why you're seeing Chizoba in this form today. Well, in Jos, there's nothing actually happening per se. It's just that, like you know, usually when there are celebrations such as this, like tricycle operators, bike riders are asked to stay away from the street to ensure security and safety of everyone that will be celebrating today. So it's a whole lot of celebration. It's also Mother's Day for Christians, so it's celebration here and there, and everyone is happy that, you just go into any house or any home that you feel you're welcome and join in the celebration. So it's such a wonderful day, actually, if you ask me. And that is the atmosphere everyone is seeing right here.
All right, well, Chizoba, many thanks. We appreciate you for bringing us the sights and sounds, and we'll definitely look forward to your report later on today. And that was Chizoba Nyoweshi. Yeah, thank you for coming on. She's our correspondent live from Plateau State. That's just the capital there, giving us a bit of sights and sounds from the Eid celebrations there, from the Eid grounds for the Eid prayers. Let's come back to the studio, shall we? Because every year, March 24th marks World Tuberculosis Day, a global initiative to raise awareness about TB and the efforts that are being made to eliminate it completely. Now, despite being a preventable and treatable disease, TB remains one of the world's deadliest infectious killers, affecting millions of people, particularly in low and middle income countries. Nigeria ranks among the top 10 countries with the highest TB burden. Many cases still go undiagnosed, fueling the spread of the disease. So, how can we increase awareness, improve prevention, and ensure more people get tested and treated on time?
We're going to tell. Thank you for joining. Joining us today to shed more light on this is, of course, we have in the studio here our doctor who will be giving us details about how TB spreads, what to do if you do think that you have it, and, of course, maybe a chance of whether it is, well, attendable by you at home or even at home.
Oh, yes, indeed. And we have Dr. Chuku Betlet Ozioma. There we go. Hopefully I got it correctly.
Thank you very much for coming through, Dr. Chuku.
There we go. Welcome.
So let's demystify tuberculosis. Ever since I was a child in primary school and I'm told about tuberculosis, they say it's a coughing thing, and then anybody who's coughing around you will run away from, That was being a kid. The older I got, I realized that it's a bit different from that. There's a unique way it spreads. There's a unique kind of cough and all of that. So demystify it for us. Is it curable? Is it not? Is it curable at home? Must you see a specialist? Please.
All right. So thank you very much for the question, and thank you once again for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
So demystifying tuberculosis is actually quite crucial, seeing that today is the World Day of Tuberculosis. And just as a way of introduction, TB is, we shorten it as TB, tuberculosis. Yeah. It's a chronic infectious condition. What do I mean by that? It's an infection that primarily affects the lungs. That's what we use, the breathing apparatus. It actually does affect almost every other part of the body, but the common presentation is what we call pulmonary TB. Pulmonary simply means the lungs. That's how it mostly presents, even though every single part of the body can be affected. The brain, the kidneys, the genitals, literally every single thing.
I never knew this.
Yeah.
The genitals?
Everything.
Every single part of the body can be affected.
Does it affect or manifest on other organs? Because we always just thought it was just a lung thing, tracheal, and manifests in coughing.
Yeah. To understand that better, you need to understand how it spreads. Like I mentioned, it's important. That's the mode of spread. And also the risk factors. Who are the people that are at risk? Who are those that should watch out for this? So in terms of the risk factors, like you mentioned, Nigeria is one of the leading countries in the world. We're actually in the top 5, and we're actually leading in Africa because of our population. So, and one of the things that perpetuates that is the population, actually. So overcrowded. We have our prisons, congested slums. These are situations or conditions where the bacteria that causes the condition thrives and festers. Secondly is situations where there are children that don't
malnutrition.
People that have malnutrition. So because TB sorts of gains muscle, let me put it that way, when the immunity is low. So any condition that tends to lower the body's immunity, the immune system, it's like an access code for TB to thrive. So how does it spread? Just the way I'm going to use COVID as a corollary.
Oh no!
So they are quite similar in their spread. So they spread through we call it droplets. That's droplets from the respiratory system. So people that cough, through secretions also.
Okay.
And it's also important to understand how it does not spread to reduce the stigma. So it's just like, you know, the cousin, I'll call it a cousin, HIV. It doesn't spread through touch. So you touching somebody that is infected doesn't predispose you to any infection. So that's important to know. Yeah.
Nigeria has one of the highest burden.
Yes, in the world.
In the world. Why is that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. I already mentioned part of that, the population. We're actually quite, it's not about the population, it's about the density of the population. That's overcrowding.
Proximity between one person and the other.
Exactly.
So if you're living on the mainland, you're in trouble. So
how Judith?
No, that's not exactly it.
I was joking. Yeah.
But then there is a point there. She does make a point there regarding, I mean, living on a mainland means that you're living in congested areas. So that must mean that it would aid the spread.
Exactly. But typically we refer to prison conditions, slums.
And is that where we have most of these occurrences in Lagos or in Nigeria, the prisons?
It's difficult to say. There is really no data or statistics to support that. But it has been established that prison conditions, any condition that perpetuates overcrowding,
so boys hostel. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, is not here today. But then again, there again is another point.
Example, actually.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
About it spreading, I wanted to ask one quick one. You said droplets, secretions. What about using utensils together with people who might have it?
Typically, no.
No. How is that?
It's not been proven to. Like I mentioned, what spreads this condition? It's a bacteria. We'll call it. I don't want to go into the technical part of it.
Okay.
There's a name for the bacteria. We'll call it Mycobacterium tuberculosis.
Okay.
And there are conditions in which it survives. And those conditions have to be met for the transmission to occur. And the secretion where it survives is droplets, respiratory droplets. And we understand saliva is not a respiratory droplet.
Oh,
yes.
So saliva does not carry the microbacteria?
I would say sharing utensils has not been shown to cause transmission of TB.
Interesting.
At this point, I have to ask about symptoms.
Okay.
Right? Because you say it's not just an issue of lungs as well. It's respiratory and it can affect the genitals. So what are, and when we hear tuberculosis, we hear, I don't have. But go ahead.
Yeah, in terms of the symptoms, most of the telltale symptoms that we see are actually respiratory. By the time you're having all those other symptoms in the other parts, then we understand that it has gone far, like it's spreading. Do you understand?
What could the other symptoms be?
So the symptoms, the classic symptoms of tuberculosis, we have cough, obviously. So, and the pattern of cough is important. We call it a chronic form of cough. Usually we use the borderline of 2 weeks. So when someone is coughing persistently, despite treatment, for greater than 2 weeks, then our suspicion for TB grows. Then we have to do further tests to find out. Then other common symptoms, night sweating, so profuse sweating at night, when there's no other explanation for it. We have weight loss that cannot be explained by other reasons, not like you're trying to lose weight or you're going to the gym. Then with an attendant loss of appetite. So those are the common symptoms that of TB. Then we have the symptoms of the other forms of TB, but that's dependent on the organ that is being affected. Wow. So if you have the brain, you have all those other symptoms, loss of consciousness, dizziness, fainting, and all that. But that's like an advance when it's spread beyond the lungs.
And ultimately, what happens if left untreated?
If left untreated, it can actually kill. TB is one, in fact, like I mentioned, our statistics is not so robust, but last I checked, there's an estimate of roughly 250,000 people actually die from TB in Nigeria annually.
And it's all thanks to underdiagnosis.
And that's the data we have. I'm sure it's worse than that, but based on the data we have.
Nigerian data. Wow. I have to ask about from this point. I mean, when World Tuberculosis Day is not just spreading awareness, but it's also a time for the World Health Organization to want to set an agenda when it comes to reducing the number, especially for countries that are burdened with this disease. What are the challenges you see for Nigeria in adopting strategies currently to tackle tuberculosis?
The current challenges we face, and just to mention, you mentioned the World Health Organization. There are actually programs in place for early detection and treatment. We have the National Tuberculosis and Leprosy control program. I was privileged to be at a center in Kwara State back then, where that is totally geared towards screening and treatment of TB and leprosy. And currently, what the challenges will be is, first and foremost, is poor education. We have poor health education. People are not aware. People don't know what to look out for to raise their index of suspicion. We have extremely poor health-seeking behaviors. People would rather go to wherever before they come to the doctor. So by the time we are seeing some TB cases, it's already advanced. They've tried several herbal remedies, pharmaceutical remedies not recommended by a doctor,
right,
and so on and so forth.
Do you think there's also stigma as well in that list? Or sort of stigmatization of...
Yeah, I would say, but it's because of the poor awareness, I would say the stigma is not so like some other conditions that we know, COVID, HIV, and the likes. And just to mention, HIV is like a very close cousin of TB.
Yeah, you said that earlier,
yes,
and I found that very strange because I haven't heard that relationship.
Yes,
how exactly does that work?
In fact, one of the leading causes of death in HIV patients is tuberculosis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
on its own, is it curable?
Yes, tuberculosis is very curable. But, you know, it's important, the early detection thing is important, and prompt treatment. But yes, there are medications to address it.
So once you have TB, can you treat it at home, or must you see a specialist?
No, you have to see a medical doctor, preferably a specialist, like you said. That's a respiratory specialist.
A respiratory How does one even catch TB? No, I'm just, without coming in contact with somebody who has it, you know, how does one get it?
You can't get it without coming in contact with someone that has it.
We don't know the origins. And that's the thing, right? Same with HIV. We don't know the origins.
Bacteria mutates, and then this happens and that happens.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
HIV is a virus, by the way.
It's a what?
It's a virus.
Virus, yeah.
That's why it's difficult.
Tuberculosis, however, is...
Yeah, tuberculosis is a bacteria.
So we don't know the origins of this?
We have to go back in time, and, you know, we really can't trace the origin, but I'm sure it dates back. Tuberculosis has been an issue since the days of the World Wars.
So let's talk about accessibility to testing for people who might think that they have tuberculosis, especially in areas that are far from urbanization or civilization.
Oh, yes.
How prevalent is it in civilizations like we talked about congestion and Lagos to places where it's not that congested? However, in these places, how accessible how accessible is it to get testing and treatment?
Yeah, so that's one of the bottlenecks of, you know, diagnosis and treatment. We have screening tests. What do I mean by screening? Just to check if the person does have it, but to confirm if the person does have TB. Only very few specialized labs have the capacity for the tests. So the screening test is a skin test that we do. We call it the tuberculosis skin test, or MANTO. So it's like a screening test that can be done like MS.
Does it manifest on your skin as well?
Yes, there are ways because it's an
affects everywhere.
It's an hypersensitivity infection. So there are ways we can check the reaction on the skin, but it's not exactly reliable.
So you were saying it's accessible in...
The skin tests are generally accessible even in low-income communities, villages and stuff. But the diagnostic test is quite, should I say, you know, a bit technical sort of.
Is it affordable anyway?
I wouldn't be sure.
Affordability is one. We got to talk about affordability.
Affordability is another thing.
We call it the gene expert. So, for instance, in Lagos, we have specific labs where we send for these tests because not everyone does it. Do you understand? Because that's how we confirm the condition is there.
So that must mean it is rather pricey to get tested.
Exactly.
It is pricey to get tested. What about getting treatment? Is that... is it affordable treatment?
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, I mentioned the National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Control Program. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know about the recent USAID fiasco, but TB has always been free to treat.
Oh,
yes,
but not free to test?
No, not free to test, to the best of my knowledge. But it's free to treat. Like, they have programs, just like HIV. Like I mentioned, up to the recent USAID fiasco, I'm not so sure of the current reality. But TB has always been, because I've worked in Benue State where some of these things are endemic, and I'm aware there are programs to provide free medications for these patients. We call it the DOTS program. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So Benue is endemic with it. I'm also thank you for taking out the time to come on, Dr. Ozioma. And also, just for everyone, please make sure to take your preventive measures. Be careful. If you feel any sort of way, go get tested.
Oh, Judith, we forgot to ask. There are no vaccines for it, is there?
Yeah,
that's talking about prevention generally.
So there are vaccines?
There is a vaccine in childhood to prevent. There's an aggressive form of childhood TB. Okay. I'm sure you must have heard BCG. I'm sure if you check your arm, you see one.
Yes, you have that one. Yeah.
1981, I don't have it.
I'm sure you do.
Weirdo.
No, I don't have it.
You do.
But yeah, I have
You had to say your age.
So I think...
How would they know if I don't?
Yeah, I think the National Program on Immunization is doing a fantastic job on that. So most children, I would say more than 90% of children got the childhood vaccine. But that is not exactly... that doesn't exactly cover to adults. So you have to take preventive measures to prevent exposure.
Once again, thank you very much, Doctor.
Doctor, thank you. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, it's going to be time for us to wrap up Match with a Bow with Women's Month. Stay here.
Welcome back and straight to it. Now, March is globally recognized as Women's Month, a time to celebrate the achievements of women across different spheres of life while also reflecting on the challenges that persist. One of the most pressing issues remains economic empowerment. While African women contribute significantly to economic growth, they continue to face barriers such as limited access to funding, unequal opportunities, and systemic biases that slow their progress. On today's Extra Special, we put the spotlight on women's economic empowerment, what progress has been made, and what still needs to be done to ensure women thrive in business leadership.
And so joining us to answer these important questions are two incredible guests. One of them is Shirley Ewang. She's the advocacy lead at Gatefield, a strategic communications and public affairs firm that is championing socio-economic transformation. Joining us here in the studio is Billy Sule. She's a business growth engineer and venture capital investor that is dedicated to helping businesses scale and access funding. Ladies, welcome to the program.
Welcome, ladies. I will just be the fly on the wall on this.
He says that, but towards the end, he will join.
I promise, Judith, I'll let you take charge here.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
There we go. Shirley, let me start with you. Thank you so much for joining us, shall we? Let's just get started. We're pressed for time, right? Women's economic empowerment is a key theme this month, the entire month of for women. From an advocacy perspective, how far have we come in ensuring women have equal economic opportunities? Very quickly, please.
Sorry, Shirley,
we cannot hear you. I think you're muted, Shirley. All right, whilst we're trying to fix that, let's come to you, Billy.
Hello, you look a lot more beautiful even in person.
Oh, goodness, don't do that. Now I will shrink. Weirdo. Now I will shrink. Oh, thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Yeah, I think that a lot of things have happened. There are a lot of systemic barriers, like you mentioned, that prevent women from accessing capital. I think one of the key resources that any business needs to start up is capital. And I think in the case of women-founded organizations and businesses, it's even beyond, the access to starting capital, but we need to look at the kind of profile and types of businesses that are typically run by women. Mm-hmm. And when you look at that profile, I think what is even more important is for them to have access to working capital. And we've typically find in this ecosystem that can be hard to access, especially like with typical institutions like banks, etc. And then even looking at the way the VC investment system is set up, it's really more focused on raising startup capital, and the way like the returns, the ownership, the growth, the valuations are structured are also very different, or they're not as compatible with the profiles of businesses that we see women starting today. So I think those are where the issues lie.
There have been more, financial institutions, whether they are traditional banks or fintechs or even venture capitalists, that are opening up access for funds and loans for women, right? And women entrepreneurs. But yet there seem to be issue when it comes to taking on. What is that problem? Why are we not connecting the dot yet?
Again, it's incompatibility. A lot of when we look at funds that have like a diversity and inclusion mandate or a gender lens investing mandate, a lot of times, and I'm not saying that's the case all the time, but many times it's more about the volume of investments that are made into women-led businesses. And I think, like I said, the structure of these financial vehicles are not compatible with the profiles or the types of businesses that are typically run by women. Women tend to sort of start more lifestyle or service-based businesses, and venture capital is very much focused into sort of the tech, the mobile enabled offerings, and trying to see how you can, scale that. And so it's very difficult. And, there are also these flawed perceptions around the scalability of these women's businesses, because, technology and the internet affords us the ability to scale a bit faster, I guess. But I think also there's a bit of a fallacy in there, because even though we've had the internet, we've had mobile apps and all these things, financial fintech apps are very prevalent in the market. We haven't seen as many. I mean, we have a couple of really good successes, but we haven't really seen that many that have been able to really achieve the necessary scale that the internet and the mobility affords. So I think it's just incompatible, and I think there just needs to be more diverse types of financial vehicles for women to access. Again, it's not just about the startup capital, but even the working capital that can be more of a determinant to the success of a women-led business.
I'm wondering whether it's more of a mind shift thing that needs to be applied to all of it, seen as if men can do it, why can't women do it? Why can't women have funding or access to funding, financial might and all of that. I think we have Shirley back now. Shirley, can we test your mic and see if you can hear us now, or if we can hear you, Shirley?
We still cannot hear you,
Shirley. Apologies.
We'll try to fix that if we can. We'll try to fix that. But, Billy, what I hear is that the venture capitalists have not yet also adapted to the investors, right? Sorry, they've not adapted to the market or to the fund. Because like you rightfully said, when you see women entrepreneurs, they are more lifestyle entrepreneurs, they're more service-based entrepreneurs. But we've also seen examples of women who have done it and done it well.
Absolutely.
Oh, by the way, that's an example.
Yeah.
She's being humble, but...
Yeah, I know, right? I know. And they've done it well. So why then can't more venture capitalists understand? Is it capitalism that is at the core of it? Or is it just, we don't get that, so we're just going to go with what we know is familiar? Or is it speed to getting their returns back? Which is
Absolutely. I think any venture capital fund or any fund, their priority actually is to turn around multiples on their investment. That is the absolute priority. Whether it's gender lens focused or whether it's not, that is their priority. And like I said, sometimes there are these flawed perceptions as to the scalability of female-led businesses. And I think also there's some work to be done to educate female entrepreneurs about how to present their business opportunities, in a way that really frames it or shows the scale opportunity there, even though it's not like necessarily 100% driven by the internet and things like that.
So it's
Yes.
not that these opportunities are not available to
They
women.
are very much available.
They are available
Yes.
to women. Then there's something to ask regarding the awareness. Are women ready? Are women getting these information? Where can they go or look out for to be investment ready? Please tell.
Absolutely. So there are a number of things. So there's, first of all, addressing this a flawed perception about the scalability of their businesses. And a lot of the work that I do at Algorithm is growth, like really supporting businesses with growth. And I believe that, you know, training women on how to grow or scale their businesses. So if we look at service businesses, right, a lot of women start lifestyle service-based businesses, and the bias, like at first look, you might think that is hard to scale. But if you look at Uber, right, Uber has they've created platforms that like plug service providers with people who require a driving service, right? So there are tech-enabled ways to scale service and lifestyle businesses. So there's a lot of training that needs to go into that. We have our Algorithm Growth Talent Accelerator program, so I would encourage female entrepreneurs to apply for that. And we have scholarships available, which are sort of, we have a mandate to have gender parity there. So female founders
so that's a good thing.
Encouraged to apply for that and learn about how to grow your business and position the scalability of that in front of investors. So there's that. I also think some of these things that we're seeing now are the outcomes of systemic biases, right? Typically, women have not necessarily been driven to go for sort of STEM focused studies, and we're now starting to see the effects where there are more sort of male profiles who are working on sort of tech businesses or scientific businesses. And I think, you know, this problem can't be solved by just saying, oh, let's just, we can't create another bias and think that's going to sort of balance things out, right? We really have to take a holistic approach, looking at all the way from education, giving women the opportunity and letting them know that, you know, STEM is a viable pathway for them if they're interested in that. Nurturing that as they're growing up. I think we need to infuse a lot more sort of entrepreneurship training into our curriculum because the world has changed, and I see that, you know, our curriculum, like, it takes a long time for curricula to be updated, and, you know, it's not necessarily matching the profile of the industries that we see today. All the way down to the profile of financial vehicles that will be available to women as well. Yeah.
We have Shirley Awana back. Shirley, are you there with us now? I'm being told that you've changed your device. Can we hear you now at this time, hopefully?
Yes, can you hear
That's a
me?
beautiful voice. There it is.
Please take it away,
That
Julie.
is the voice. Shirley, we've been talking about, you know, funding and venture capitalism and also entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs and the challenges that they face. But what are some of the most critical policy gaps that still hinder women from achieving financial independence from your standpoint as an advocacy expert?
Okay, that's a great question. Before I answer that question, I'd like to lead with a few statistics. Nigerian women are driving the economy. Small and medium enterprises drive, you know, over 50% of our economy, and Nigerian women own about 40% of those businesses. Now, that's context. And when you think about it, Nigerian women are creditworthy, they're reliable. Data shows that, you know, 95% of loans that are gotten by Nigerian women who own small businesses are repaid, and that's twice as much as, it's twice over the repayment rate of men. So despite the fact that Nigerian women are, you know, making strides in the economy in terms of small, medium enterprises and medium enterprises as well, they're also reliable in terms of getting access to loans, not in terms of getting access to loans, rather they're reliable in repaying loans. However, only 10% of SME loans goes to Nigerian women. Now that is a gap. That's a huge disparity. And when we're thinking about, you know, some of the policies that we can introduce in order to further empower Nigerian women and contribute to women's economic empowerment, that's something that we need to tackle. You know, we need to ensure that there is equal allocation of SME loan funding to women. I think another critical policy is the fact that the Central Bank of Nigeria also has, a bit of a regulatory role to play in this instance, right? The central bank can ensure that at least 30% of lending goes to women, because women are the backbone of Nigeria's economy. I mean, there is this, crazy statistics but it's very true, that when Nigerian women are empowered, we can make close to 229 billion this year alone. And it's just important that we look at our credit financing schemes. We need the banks to be incentivized to ensure that a significant portion of their loan portfolio goes to women, because if not, that funding gap is going to exist and it's going to cripple the national economic growth of Nigeria. I think that these are some policies that we need to ensure that are in place. We need to ensure that there is equal loan allocation for women, and the Bank of Industry, SMIDAN, they all have a role to play in shaping the market to ensure that women are equally empowered to do big things and they can, meet their economic ambitions.
I hear that call. I hear that call for SMIDAN to actually pay more attention to women. But I want to ask a very critical and dramatic question. Have women actually pigeonholed themselves into a corner where their credibility when it comes to other endeavors outside of lifestyle, outside of agriculture, they're not looked upon as credible by a cultural system a biased cultural system? Is this because women are not daring to branch into other more daring endeavors, like tech, for instance? And please don't crucify me. I'm just the messenger here.
Did you see our faces? Because we're about to shoot you.
I know.
I'm like, wait, what did you
somebody
just say?
out there is asking that question and hoping that I would represent them. So I just did that. So please, Shirley, what do you think?
Shirley, you represent us. Give it your best shot.
I think that definitely there is a gender disparity, and obviously there are lots of systemic factors that stops women from growing in sectors. I mean, obviously, I think you already answered the question. Women are already doing great things in tech. But then again, power, discrimination are some of the biggest obstacles to ensuring that women advance in all of these sectors. And that's why we need to continue to break down that bias, and we need to spread awareness on the fact that women's economic empowerment is crucial to Nigeria's economic growth. Now, I mean, the statistics that I provided before in how much women are contributing to, the small, medium enterprise business, I think it speaks for itself to say that women are powerful. Women can really do anything that they set their minds to. But it's important that we empower them with access to capital. It's important that, CBN, Bank of Industry, they're thinking of other ways to advance loans to women. I think that that's just the resounding factor, because when women are economically empowered, Nigeria earns. When women earn, Nigeria earns. So whether it's in small businesses, whether it's in tech, whether it's in finance, how do we come up with policies that can enable women? If we think of the policy that was instituted by CBN that asked banks to ensure that a certain percentage of women are represented.
We're trying to manage the time. We have one last question for Billy, and then just apologies.
Yeah, we sincerely apologize because we're really pressed for time. But very quickly, Billy, before I let you go, what are the trends? And maybe I can split this question between the both of you, but I would like for you to keep it very succinctly, maybe 30 seconds max, please. What are the trends that you see in the future when it comes to shaping financial inclusion, financial independence, and also access to funding for women entrepreneurs, whether it's tech, lifestyle, or fintech? I'll start with you, Billy, and then to you, Shirley.
Sure. I think recently we've seen a lot of investment mandates behind sort of ESG, DEI, so really focusing on gender lens investing. I'm not sure that I completely agree with the premise of gender lens investing, but I think even now, like with the shutdown of USAID, those types of funds tend to sort of drive gender lens investing, and it will be interesting to see how that evolves over time. But I think what is more important is having really addressing the systemic biases and root causes over the long term, and then we'll start to see that change.
All right,
eventually.
Shirley, 30 seconds, go.
I think it really comes down to policy making and the effective implementation of such policies. For example, the Bank of Industry has a fashion fund that is, I think at the time was up to 1 billion naira, but now that's about $1 million or less because of currency depreciation. But that really speaks to empowering women in a particular field. So I think that if some of these financial development institutions and banks, if they are more intentional about instituting some of these policies like targets and loan portfolio shares going to women, at least 50%, I think that we can really advance women's economic empowerment at that level.
All right.
So policy making and advocacy.
Policy making, VC, and of course, implementation of those policies. Ladies, thank you so much. Intelligence all round, I must say. Shirley, Eva, many thanks to you, and also Billy Sule, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you, and we apologize for how the time was small.
We have to rush you. Apologies.
Apologies.
We really wish you could stay the entire hour.
Thank you very much.
Happy Mothering Sunday to all the mothers out there, including my mom, Lara Sule. We love you.
Happy
You're
birthday.
doing great.
Mother's
Sunday.
Day.
Yes.
All right, then.
Happy Mothering Sunday.
All right.
We're going to go right into our next segment here. Now, with rising inflation, high living costs, and dwindling I beg your pardon, got a bit distracted there. Disposable income was the word I was trying to say. Many Nigerians are turning to buy now, pay later schemes as a lifeline to manage their expenses. Now, whether it's for household essentials, electronics, or even school fees, the BNPL model is gaining traction as an alternative to traditional credit. Now, but is this a suitable financial solution, or does it come with hidden risks? Today, we take a deep dive into how Nigerians are embracing this payment model and what it means for businesses and also consumers alike.
All right. And also, earlier this week, we had our reporter, our business correspondent, Chamon Dabang. She went out on the street to ask Nigerians why they would opt for buy now, pay later model for their expenses. And here's what they had to say. Take a look.
The economy often has ripple effects on its nation. Now, this is evident in Nigeria's case, where economic downturn has pushed up the prices of goods and services, affecting both businesses and individuals alike. Now, Nigerians have had to make a choice when they're buying things, meaning that they're either reducing the amount of things that they're buying, or they are just not buying certain items completely. And of course, this is bad for business. And now, in order to solve this problem, several businesses have come up with the concept of buy now, pay later, where individuals can pay on a monthly basis. The question really is who is this really benefiting? The Nigerians or the businesses or both?
As the poor state of the economy continues to drive up the cost of goods and services, the concept of monthly payments seems appealing to citizens who can't pay outrightly and businesses who seek to keep their growing clientele base. In 2024, this market had reached an estimated $1.42 billion and is anticipated that BNPL payments will increase by 16.8% annually. News Central hit the streets to find out from people their experiences with BNPL.
I bought a phone and I was unable to meet up with the time I was supposed to, pay. And then they restricted my apps. I was only able to make calls, that was all.
I think it's okay for some products because sometimes you want to access something. If you want to keep saving, it will take a while.
This is our country now. To see money now is very hard, it's very difficult. So, and some people now, they might have plan of buying something, but they don't have enough money to buy it.
According to Credit Facility CEO and financial analyst Godwin Adoga, the rise of BNPL can be largely attributed to the rise in e-commerce and strides towards financial inclusion in Nigeria brought on by fintechs. Adoga also delves into the challenges those in the BNPL market must face.
The lack of social credit or a lack of a proper credit background for the Nigerian market, which creates a high-risk situation for people who are lending. Because at the end of the day, buy now, pay later is actually a lending model. There will be regulation for, I would say, the model so that it can actually take root in our society.
According to reports, the Central Bank of Nigeria has tightened regulations for online lenders, limiting excessive debt growth and protecting clients. Now, BNPL providers doing business in the nation are subject to these rules.
Buy now, pay later uses exactly the same concept as car loans, mortgages, insurances. If Nigerians were required to pay out that huge amount at once, there would barely ever be any market for them at all. But businesses now understand that just because a client does not have the money to pay right now doesn't necessarily mean that they won't have the money later on. Reporting for News Central Lagos, I am Chamun Jabe.
And many thanks to Chamon. And she joins us live in the studio. We have two guests, Chamon Dabeng. She is a reporter who filed that report on why Nigerians are opting for BNPL. Also joining us is Celestine Omin. He's the co-founder of CLOP, a leading BNPL company in Nigeria, to help us understand the model's impact and the future of such business in Nigeria. Lady and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on.
It's funny to see you here, sir, because I think you people are the ones responsible, but welcome. Welcome. Chairman, you spoke to a lot of people.
Yes.
What did you identify as the main reason why people are going for buy now, pay later, apart from telcos, because they started this whole wahala. And they say, don't worry, just buy credits. You can pay us later. It's a trap.
You just shifted my head.
But it is a fact.
It's true. I never saw it. Yeah, that is true. But go ahead.
What was the reason they identified?
Well, I think the reason is quite obvious. It's a money issue, of course. We're not oblivious to the fact that Nigeria's inflation rate is extremely high. We have dollar volatility right now. So just affording these things that would have normally been quite easy to do at once is now very difficult for Nigerians. So the concept of being able to pay little by little every month until you can actually own the property is just easier for Nigerians. So that's what, a lot of them had actually said. It's just taking that huge amount. At this point, removing 200,000, 500,000, 300,000 is extremely difficult for so many Nigerians, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot afford it.
Right.
But, if you can pay on a monthly basis, yes, it's convenience. So if you can pay on a monthly basis, it's just easier.
Babayaro, would you say? So that's it. Would you say that's the case? I mean, you are in the business. Your business is buy now, pay later. What is a consumer behavior like? What is the trend? What are you seeing?
Okay, thank you very much. Just like what she said, it's about convenience. Today, if you think about it, if I broke my phone, an average phone today goes for like 200,000 or 300,000.
Knock on wood. Make sure that doesn't happen.
Traditionally, before now, I had to cough out 300K and go buy the phone. But with BNPL today, I can spread the payments over a 3 to 6 months tenure. Interestingly, 2 years ago, when we started the business, the trend that we saw was a lot of people buying mobile devices. Today, we see people buying more foodstuff. And paying school fees and buying school kits for their kids. Just because, of course, today, the average Nigerian spends anywhere between 30 to 40% of their monthly income on feeding. So it just makes sense for us to see those kinds of trends. On any given day, we are seeing people buy bags of rice, bags of beans. We're seeing people buy livestock, so food is becoming a big part of that. And that is not the kind of trend that we had envisaged 2 years ago when we started the business, but today it is what it is. So we have to process that payment.
Is there a reason for this trend? I mean, it goes without saying, the economy.
Yes, of course.
But then, doesn't that give a sense of foreboding? Because it's not like as if it comes to borrowing, I don't want to call it borrowing. Is it okay to call it borrowing?
It is.
It is.
It is borrowing. If you have to borrow for basic necessities like food, doesn't that paint a very grim picture for the economy, for Nigeria?
I mean, it is what it is. It does. But given the alternatives and options that people have to prioritize living. So you have to live before you can do any other things in your life. That's not to say that we don't see other industries picking up. Of course, we see them. But the priority these days, people want to, get everyday things that allow them to survive until the following day before they can think about other things. So,
buy now, think later.
Go ahead.
All right. So, before now, some things are now looking like luxuries for some people, like everyday things that will allow you to live your life as a regular person. It's beginning to look like luxury. So people have to prioritize, living first.
Right. And Chamon, while you were on the street and just speaking to Nigerians,
this is another form of debt, right? And Nigerians are quite wary when it comes to credit accumulation, right? Did you have a sense of that while you were speaking to Nigerians or even to the analysts that you had on your report?
Honestly, Nigerians were just happy about the fact that that option is actually available because it solves a lot of issues. Like he said, you have Nigerians that are now buying foodstuff. Imagine being in a position where you can't even afford that. But then the option of paying little by little, especially now, you can't even call anybody and be like, hey, please, can you run me 5K or run me 10K? Because even this person that you're even this person that you're calling is probably looking for who will run them 5K as well. So imagine being in that position where, you know, this is a wonderful option. They're not really thinking about the debt at that point. Is the fact that there is an urgent need that needs to be solved. Like he said, buy now, think later. And that's something that a lot of Nigerians are stuck in. And I would say, honestly, be careful with that.
Be careful. Now,
be very, very careful with that.
You're advising the people to be careful.
Yes,
let's
because
talk to this gentleman here. I want to talk to this gentleman. This is why you're here.
So.
You've made it a business. How exactly does it work as a business? What are the profits or profit mechanisms that work therein when it comes to buy now, pay later?
Interest rates.
Now we're coming over. This is just the first question. Oh, well, it's not academic. We're not drilling you. But I'm just interested. I want to know.
I mean, so if you look at it, every single credit has a form of interest that comes with it. Majorly because the system calls it cost of money. If I am going to X to borrow money, for instance, I have to return that money to X with some level of interest. So the way it works, like everybody that takes the credit has to be some sort of interest. But what we've done also is that we've made the interest very transparent. So if you're taking a loan of, let's say, 200,000 naira, and you're supposed to pay back, let's say, 220,000 naira, and you have a 4-month tenor, that means every month you're paying back about 50,000 naira. So we tell you your interest, let's say 20,000 naira. So every month you pay 55,000 until you clear that credit. Now we make it so transparent that there are no hidden charges, there are no unexpected stuff. So from the onset, before you take the credits, we give you a breakdown and say, month 1, you pay this, month 2, you pay this, month 3, and month 4, you clear your credit.
But with the prevailing socio-economic situation, are people paying back?
Yes, people are paying back. Of course, every single...
Chairman, I saw you, but we'll come to you.
People are paying back, obviously. But of course, every single lender will tell you that you have NPLs, non-performing loans. But for the vast majority of the people that we work with, they pay back. Because we do a thorough credit assessment. We give people these credits that have a form of income. So one of the very first things that we would typically do is to say, okay, Ms. Judith is taking this credit. Does she have some sort of income? And if she does, how consistent is that income? Does it come on a particular day, for instance? If it does, let's say, okay, this is salary week for some people. You get paid on the 30th. We look at that trend and say, okay, and does it come from an institution? Okay, it's New Central paying her. So, okay, then she's, credible enough. Does she have existing credits lying out somewhere? If she doesn't, then why not? We'll give her the credit.
So there's a credit rating system that's just rating people already?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
And one has to talk about just basically the trust in these systems. I know that you said that you run a very transparent interest rate basis, and there's no hidden charges, everything is free, you have to do your thorough work. But there's also other loan apps, wicked, that have hidden charges and are threatening people and doing all of that, although it's outright, payday loans and small-term loans, but nonetheless, they are very brutish in their loan collection or loan drive. Did you speak to them as well, and were they wary of that, or did they restrain it from wanting to take?
Once again, it's coming back to buy now, think later, because they are not really thinking about that. Like I said, there's an urgent need; it needs to be fulfilled. So for me, the worry, honestly speaking, is not even from the side of the Nigerians themselves, because, let's shop all willy-nilly. But it will come from a business angle. That's where the issue really does come from. Because like he said, you run all these background checks, but, somebody could lose their job tomorrow.
Right.
Things could go higher and higher, and you can't really afford to pay back at the rate that you were actually paying.
Right.
So the people that end up suffering, because one of the questions that I did ask was, who is the person that is really benefiting from this?
Right.
There is a mutual benefit from both parties if everything goes smoothly, but the business will be at a loss if the people are not paying back.
Right, and I'm thankful for that, because that takes us to my final question, and which is going to go to you, Mr. Amin, and it's about policies and regulations for that industry. right? We know that the FCCPC, they're doing the best that they can. We know that the other authorities or regulatory bodies are doing, CBN as well, they're doing their best that they can. But there's still sort of a lot of skepticism that shrouds that space. What are the policies and regulations you want to see the right bodies do to get it right, to advance the sector?
I mean, today, a lot of work has been done over the last couple of years, but one of the things that we've seen today is that there is now a really large stronghold on loan sharks, for instance. People who give you credits with unreasonable interest rates. It just doesn't make sense. So the authorities are clamping down on those sorts of people. And there's a massive sensitization also going around where the government is saying if any company or any individual is harassing you, this is an open line for us to sort of communicate to us and say, then we can now go about that person. The second thing is data privacy. It doesn't make sense for somebody to take your credit from you and you're publishing a fictitious obituary of the person just to shame them. Every now and then, maybe about 9-10 months ago, I wake up to SMS and say, Mr. XYZ took credit from us, tell him to pay. And it turns out this person was an artisan that worked for me. He was a plumber, was a carpenter.
What's my business?
I don't know this person.
You weren't there when you gave the loan.
Exactly.
I didn't even sign as a third party. I'm not even a guarantor to this thing.
So data privacy is one of those things that the government really needs to do some work around there to sort of forbid people from doing that. It's shameful. Like she rightly said also, life happens to people. If you look at the last couple of years, companies are right-sizing and trying to get people off the workforce. So if I lose my job today, it doesn't mean I'm a bad debt or life just happened. It doesn't make sense for you to shame me publicly. I mean, let's just work towards something that I can pay back on a reasonable time. Thank you.
We do hope that kind of thing is a thing of the past from now on.
Yeah, I do have something to say. I wanted to say that you put rightfully, you said that people have moved from luxury to now using payday loans or buy now, pay later to pay school fees, rent, and the rest. I think you should put out a data on that. Yeah. I think so. You should put out data on that. Thank you, Celeste, for taking out the time. And also thank you, for your reports that has started this conversation, and hopefully it will change what we know as finance and personal and payday loans.
Omin sent me a text message. Your friend borrowed. It's not you. It's not them. In any case, we do have our correspondents all across Nigeria for the Eid celebrations, and I believe that we do have. Who do we have now?
We have Israel. Okay. Israel is joining us live.
Eferoba Israel. Good morning to you. How are you doing? Please do tell us where your location is and what the festivities or celebrations are like there.
Mazino, it's a buzz. That's the word. It's a buzz. There's so many people here. So many families that have gathered here today. They've thronged this venue. We're at the Testing Balogun Stadium, and this is where the Eid prayers were offered today by the Muslim faithfuls around Surulere area. They are actually from the Folawiyo Central Mosque, just very close to the Shitu roundabout here in Surulere, and the prayers have been held. Muslim faithfuls are happy. They have dispersed. Some of them are still around, and I will be talking to a few of them in just a moment to get their reaction on what today indeed means to them. Zino, just stay with me for a moment as I bring on Mrs. Mahmood. Just come over now. Yeah, so we're live on television now. Thank you so much for talking to us. All right, tell us your name and what today means to you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa ta'ala wa barakatuh to all the Muslims all over the world. My name is Mrs. Fatima Mamadou. Today is a great day. It's a great joy. We thanks to Almighty Allah for seeing us through Ramadan, and today we are celebrating the end of it. So we pray Almighty Allah, the barakah of it, to make it a good thing for us in this life and the hereafter. And I pray to all Muslims all over the world to always stand by the truth and know Allah as long as they live, because that is the only way forward.
How do you feel now that Ramadan has finally ended, the fast has ended? How do you feel?
I feel great. And I feel honor, and I feel thanks to Almighty Allah that give us the good health, the means to go to the Ramadan and fast the Ramadan. We pray to Almighty Allah to accept it from us as an act of ibadah.
So after now, what happens?
We continue to live as a good Muslim.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, Zeno, there you go. That's just one of them. I have another person here who is eager, to share his thoughts.
Israel, apologies.
Are we out of time yet?
Yeah, we are out of time because we're ending Breakfast Extra, but we will be coming to you perhaps inside of other bulletins, news bulletins. After you, we have to speak to Biola Festus as well, who is in Port Harcourt. Biola, I'm being told that we have you already. Do give us an idea of what's happening in Port Harcourt, where you are.
You know, I am at the Port Harcourt Central Mosque. We have some Muslim faithful here who just finished their prayer with regards to the end of the month of Ramadan. What dominated their sermon today is the current state of emergency declaration in Rivers State. They said they are not happy with it. Reasons being that when crisis starts in the state, the Muslim community would be the first target. This is according to what they told me earlier. Well, I have by me here the Imam of the Central Mosque in Rivers State. Let's hear his view, please. Can you tell us, can you reiterate what you said earlier in the mosque?
We have said that as far as this political crisis in the state is concerned, we are not happy. The entire Muslim Ummah is not happy about it because we believe in some form. With due respect to the president, we hold him in high esteem. With due respect to all the leader minds that are speaking and fighting. We as Muslims, residents here in University, believe that the state of emergency support whatever pertain or potential crisis that exists. It's not denied, but it can be resolved in a better way than the state of emergency. It's kind of ungovernmental discomfort because if we not take up the crisis for that reason, in spite of the evidence of
Biola, I'm sorry, Biola.
all those
you
as far as
can hear us.
The best way to resolve this crisis is for the president to review the state of emergency, bring back the governor to say.
No. Unfortunately, the network there and the poor audio, but we will be bringing you Biola Festus inside of our news bulletin, so we do hope that you stay. But for now, we must draw close to our Sunday edition here for Breakfast Extra. Judith, thank you very much for a very colorful Sunday here. We wish we could be back for tomorrow, but we can't. So
thank goodness. Well, we must say thank you as well. And also Eid Mubarak to all of our Muslim brothers and sisters and all of our viewers who are celebrating this Sunday. And also Monday and Tuesday is going to be lots of food and drink. But we'll be back Saturday, by the way, so make sure to tune in for that. Saturday, 8 a.m. bright and early. Until then, it's good night and goodbye from... Not before we tell you that we're passing the baton to the breakfast crew on Monday. So make sure to tune in. Breakfast Central, 7 a.m. bright and early with Benga and Olive.
There you go.
There we go.
That's it.
Matthew was going to flog me if I didn't.
Good morning and goodbye. See you guys for the 12 o'clock bulletin at least.
Oh, gosh. Bye for now.